Chapter 1245. Falling into the demonic path. Junior brother, have you really decided to leave the true martial sacred academy? Zhao Qianjun sighed. With the talent Yi Fei had shown, he should have been absolutely valued in any sacred academy. But because of the body of heaven, many people were not optimistic about Yi Fei. I've decided. Zhou Ming and the others are abominable, but they are right about one thing. I made too much trouble this time. If I continue to stay in the true martial sacred academy, it will bring disaster to the sacred academy. Leaving is my only choice. It's also my last repayment to the sacred academy. Yi Fei was also very depressed. In fact, he didn't want to leave the sacred academy. After all, Xia Jun and the others were all in the sacred academy. Now he only hoped that the sacred academy would understand his painstaking efforts and not make things difficult for them. Fortunately, the sacred academy still has Shangluo. Although this girl is a bit greedy, she is still quite loyal. She should be able to protect Xia Jun and the others. But even so, Yi Fei was still a little worried. After all, he had made a big trouble this time. Even if he took the initiative to leave in order to avoid causing trouble for the true martial sacred academy, he was afraid that the higher-ups of the sacred academy would not understand his painstaking efforts and would still punish Xia Jun and the others. So he thought for a moment. Yi Fei then said to Zhao Qianjun, "Senior brother, I know you will leave the Dragon Head realm in a few days. If possible, go to the Merchant Alliance and ask them to send a letter to Shangluo. Only if the Sacred Academy understands my difficulties will they not make things difficult for Xia Jun and the others." Zhao Qianjun's face suddenly changed color. "Junior brother, are you trying to drive me away? Do you think I'm the kind of person who is afraid of death?" Now that Yi Fei had offended 3 sacred academies at the same time and had taken the initiative to leave the true martial sacred academy, it could be said that a great disaster was imminent. Yi Fei wanted to drive him away, which made Zhao Qianjun very unhappy. Yi Fei understood this point and could only explain with a wry smile, "Senior brother, please listen to me. I can solve my own business. Besides, because I'm the public enemy of the 4 academies, if you continue to suffer with me, what do you want Zhao Xinian to do? I cannot abandon my brother for the sake of my daughter." Zhao Qianjun's tone was incomparably resolute. He was an evil demon, but in Yi Fei's eyes, Zhao Qianjun was more worthy of respect than many self-proclaimed righteous people. It was precisely because of this respect that he absolutely would not allow Zhao Qianjun to accompany him in taking risks. Yi Fei said, "Senior apprentice brother Zhao, if you stay, you will only become a burden to me. After this, I might join the evil demon sect. If you follow me, it will be detrimental to my plan." Upon hearing this, Hong Yu's heart trembled. She looked at Yi Fei in utter shock. Could it be that he was about to fall into the demonic path? Zhao Qianjun's eyes suddenly lit up. He had more or less understood Yi Fei's plan. He grinned. "Haha, you're indeed my junior brother. Your plan is not bad. The black lotus in your body was planted by the blood demon sect. If you want to resolve it, the best way is to find the blood ancestor of the blood demon sect and ask him personally. Not only that, you have killed the disciples of the 3 great sacred academies and suppressed the Son of Heaven of the real martial sacred academy. Others will think that you have really betrayed the real martial sacred academy. At this time, if you fall into the demonic path and join the blood demon sect, they will believe you." The more Zhao Qianjun thought about this plan, the more brilliant it was. He could not help but give Yi Fei a thumbs up. And only the heavens knew that joining the evil demon sect was just a perfunctory excuse for Yi Fei. His original intention was to not let Zhao Qianjun suffer the joint revenge of the 3 great sacred academies. Unfortunately, Zhao Qianjun's mind was too shrewd. He actually came up with a plan to infiltrate the blood demon sect. Yi Fei was speechless. However, it seemed that this plan was very feasible. After all, the reason he stayed in the Dragon Head realm was to find a way to dissolve the Black Lotus in his body. And when it came to understanding the Black Lotus, it was undoubtedly the blood ancestors of the blood demon sect. If he could learn the secret of the Black Lotus from them, there would be hope for him to get rid of the Black Lotus. Junior brother, junior brother. Zhao Qianjuan's continuous yelling brought Yi Fei back to his senses. What's wrong with you? Is the demonic nature acting up again? Just now Yi Fei had killed a lot of people. Senior brother, don't worry. I have the golden body of the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon to suppress. The Black Lotus won't be able to stir up too much trouble. I suddenly thought, if senior brother finds Zhao Xinyan, where do you plan to go next? Yi Fei asked curiously. Zhao Qianjun smiled bitterly. Senior brother, I've been lonely all my life. Fortunately, I have a daughter, but I still owe her a lot. If possible, I will take her back to the Northern Territory to acknowledge her ancestors. That's great. I wonder if senior brother is interested in joining the 6 sacred sects. Yi Fei said expectantly. 6 sacred sects? Junior brother, are you kidding me? I'm a demonic cultivator. Why would an ancient sect like that be interested in me? Zhao Qianjun shook his head. In the past, due to his inferiority, due to his identity as a demonic cultivator, he did not even enter the heaven-forsaken land, but left the Northern Territory and went to the outer ocean. It was one of Zhao Qianjuan's regrets. Hearing Yi Fei mentioning the past, Zhao Qianjun let out a sigh. The sigh gave Yi Fei a glimmer of hope. When he thought about the possible retaliation from the 3 sacred institutes, as well as the martial God pact with the human demon in 100 years, Yi Fei felt that he had to make preparations in advance. That way, even if he died midway, Zhao Qianjun would be able to shoulder the heavy responsibility of defending the northern region against the human demon. Yi Fei's expression turned serious as he said in a deep voice, Senior brother, you don't have to worry about that. The 6 sacred sects have their own demonic path, and the martial arts there are enough for you to reach the martial god realm. When you return to the Northern Territory, you can take my badge and go to the heaven-forsaken land. With your strength, you can easily obtain the approval of the demonic sacred palace. Saying this, he took out the badge of the Azure Sacred Palace and handed it to Zhao Qianjun. It was the token that he had recommended, as it was his contribution to the 6 sacred sects before he fell into the demonic path. Well, since it's Junior Brother's request, I'll definitely go to the 6 sacred sects. I'll also take care of the family Yi for you. Zhao Qianjun was aware of something from Yi Fei's serious expression, but he did not ask anything. Yi Fei did not explain anything either. In order to let Zhao Qianjun go to the 6 sacred sects as soon as possible, he suddenly recalled something and reminded, by the way, I have a master of divinations who is very good at finding people. If senior brother is looking for Zhao Xinyan, you can go to the True Martial Sacred Institute and ask the master of divinations for you. I'll remember it. Take care, junior brother. Zhao Qianjun was not surprised, but there was a sad look on his face. Senior brother, take care too. I hope that we can meet again in the future. Yi Fei said the last sentence in his heart. This time, the 3 sacred institutes had suffered heavy casualties. Once he left the True Martial Sacred Institute, the 3 sacred institutes would definitely take revenge on him. He did not know if he could survive. There was also the Black Lotus in his body, which was always a hidden danger. He did not know if joining the Blood Demon sect would be able to get the method to resolve the Black Lotus from the Blood Ancestor. I can only take one step at a time. If the Blood Ancestor is not willing to tell me, then I will use force. Even if I have to destroy the entire Blood Demon sect, I will resolve this damn Black Lotus in my body. Watching Zhao Qianjun and Hong Yu leave, Yi Fei's eyes gradually turned cold. Originally, Zhao Qianjun wanted Hong Yu to stay and help, but Yi Fei refused. After all, Hong Yu was just an ordinary martial saint and would not be of much help to him. This time, Yi Fei decided to join the Blood Demon sect alone. Chapter 1246. Unremitting Yi Fei had underestimated the impact of him falling into the demonic Tao during the battle at the Blood Sea Gate. On the 2nd day of his journey in the Dragon Head realm, there were actually evil demon martial monarchs who came personally to invite Yi Fei to join their evil demon sect. Some even offered high positions, such as Vice Sect Master or Vice Sect Master. However, Yi Fei rejected them all, He had entered the demonic Tao to find a way to resolve the black lotus in his body, not for the so-called high position. However, the invitation of these evil demon martial monarchs still made him feel much more at ease. Senior brother Zhao is still the most experienced. Once I became the public enemy of the 4 academies, there were actually many evil demon martial monarchs who believed that I had fallen into the demonic Tao. Of course, this was also related to the battle at the Bloodsea Gate. He had killed 2 fiercely and ruthlessly. The heaven-ranked disciples of the 3 great sacred academies were all wiped out together with the ordinary disciples. Such a huge loss was enough to make people believe that he had become an evil demon. Not to mention, he had also suppressed 3 heaven-ranked disciples of the true martial sacred academy in public. After the imprisonment was lifted, Zhou Ming and the other 2 immediately fled the Dragon Head realm dejectedly. They returned to the true martial sacred academy with hatred and dissatisfaction to report his betrayal. In the Dragon Head realm, Yi Fei's fame spread rapidly among the evil demons. He was even on par with the evil demon sword saint Zhao Qianjun, gaining the respect and admiration of a large group of evil demons. It seems that another outstanding junior has appeared among the evil demons. He is the first on the heaven ranking and an invincible prime. It is the true martial sacred academy's loss that they did not retain such a genius. Similarly, it is also our luck. In the Dragon Head realm, in a wasteland filled with white bones, stood a black palace. Inside the palace, pairs of cold eyes were observing the interactions between the evil demon martial monarchs and Yi Fei through a water mirror. More strictly speaking, the owners of these gazes seemed to be personally interacting with Yi Fei through the eyes of those evil demon martial monarchs. However, the owners of these eyes were angry that no matter how they tried to recruit him, Yi Fei actually rejected them on the spot. This made them very angry. That man is not simple. He betrayed the real martial sacred courtyard after killing the disciples of the sacred courtyard. He didn't give us any excuse to attack the real martial sacred courtyard. On a mountain peak of the divine martial sacred courtyard, an old man shook his head. After receiving the news that Jin Pabai and the others had died, he sighed heavily. Behind him stood a large group of emperors. What was different from the real martial sacred courtyard was that these martial emperors were all very young. Very few of them had old faces. This also proved that their lifespans were very sufficient and their battle prowess was also at the peak. Hearing the old man's words, many people's expressions turned furious. The youngest martial emperor retorted angrily, "Even if we can't do anything to the real martial sacred courtyard, we must kill Yi Fei. Dean, please let me kill him and restore the reputation of the sacred courtyard." No, martial emperors can't fight. Otherwise, that old bastard of the real martial sacred courtyard will be infuriated. How about this? You can join forces with the Heavenly Tao and the Heavenly Book sacred courtyard and issue a mission to kill Yi Fei. Let the disciples deal with this matter. I'd like to see how the real martial sacred courtyard will react to this matter. The dean of the divine martial sacred courtyard shook his head. After dealing with this matter, he returned to the sky and continued cultivating in seclusion. Only a group of martial emperors was left, looking at each other. They didn't understand why the dean of the true martial sacred courtyard was still so scared when the dean of the true martial sacred courtyard had declined. Many impulsive martial emperors would have charged into the Dragon Head field and killed Yi Fei already. It was a coincidence. When they realized that the martial emperors of the divine martial sacred courtyard didn't make a move and only issued the order to kill Yi Fei, the deans of the Heavenly Book Sacred Courtyard and the Heavenly Book Sacred Courtyard chose to remain silent at the same time. The martial emperors of the 2 sacred courtyards didn't make a move either. They just ordered their holy sons to deal with Yi Fei. It was obviously a case of loud thunder but little rain. The disciples of the 3 sacred courtyards were very dissatisfied. As the holy daughter with the most potential in the Heavenly Book Sacred Courtyard, Zhao Yu had already reached the half-emperor realm after 3 years of cultivation. Not long ago, she had challenged the holy son of the Heavenly Book Sacred Courtyard, and they had fought to a draw. Such sensational news made Zhao Yu immediately become the holy daughter of the heavenly book sacred courtyard. She had a high position and power. Of course, she knew what had happened in the Dragon Head field immediately. Zhao Yu's expression became very strange. Is this guy a porcupine? Should I kill him before others make a move? Her expression became cold, but there was a corner of Zhao Yu's heart that was filled with softness. In the heavenly book's sacred courtyard, Dongfang Yu's life was very difficult. Not long after he entered the sacred courtyard, he accidentally offended a follower of the Holy Sun. Since then, he had been suppressed. Recently, Dongfang Yu had been considering whether to lower his head and apologize to the Holy Sun in exchange for a peaceful life in the sacred courtyard. At this time, he saw the mission hall and saw the order to kill Yi Fei. The three sacred courtyards had issued the order at the same time. Dongfang Yu was stunned. Senior brother, what did Yi Fei do? Why are the three sacred courtyards chasing him at the same time? What else can he do? This guy is crazy. In the Dragon Head field, he killed Jin Po Bai, Chun Chongkong, and senior brother Feng Ba Dao. The Holy Sun has already said that he wants us to enter the Dragon Head field and find his whereabouts. If necessary, the Holy Sun will personally kill this demon. The senior brother who passed by said with righteous indignation. Dongfang Yu's heart was suddenly greatly shaken. Feng Ba Dao is dead? Yi Fei betrayed the four sacred courtyards and fell into the demon Dao. I don't believe it. Brother Yi is not that kind of person. He hurriedly continued to inquire. Soon, he knew the specific details of the matter, including the reason Yi Fei betrayed the sacred courtyards. A man should be strong. A man should fight. A man should kill. A man should never stop striving for self-improvement. After repeatedly recalling what Yi Fei had said when he suppressed Zhou Ming and the other two, Dongfang Yu suddenly let out a long sigh. I finally understand why I'm not as good as Brother Yi. Brother Yi, thank you for pointing me in the right direction. Originally, under the pressure of the heavenly strategy saint, Dongfang Yu had already decided to lower his head. But now, great courage and confidence appeared in him. At this time, a follower of the heavenly strategy saint walked over and arrogantly ordered Dongfang Yu. Northern boxing dog, right? Come with me. The Holy Sun has decided to give you a chance to redeem yourself. Redeem myself? Ha ha ha. I, Dongfang Yu, would rather die than lower my head to a group of villains like you. Get lost. Dongfang Yu suddenly exploded and beat the Holy Sun's follower into a dog's head. On the mountain peak where Yi Fei was cultivating, Xia Jun and Lin Tianjiao were packing up. Little Fatty and Guo Wang were also gloomy. Zhou Ming and the other two had already returned to the true martial sacred courtyard and brought back the news that Yi Fei had betrayed the sacred courtyard. After the initial shock and disbelief, Xia Jun decided to immediately go to the Dragon Head realm to find Yi Fei. We are brothers. We share riches and hardships together. Since Big Brother has left the sacred courtyard, there is no point for us to stay. This was the reason why Shangluo stopped Xia Jun from explaining. Lin Tianjiao, Little Fatty, and Guo Wang were also planning to leave. They all decided to take the risk and enter the Dragon Head realm to find Yi Fei. At this time, the old figure of the third, Dean, silently came to the mountain peak and scolded them angrily. What are you doing? Yi Fei has left, and you have to leave too. Do you really think we old guys can't tell right from wrong? Dean, you mean? Shangluo suddenly understood something. Yi Fei is not at fault in this matter. The fault lies with the three sacred academies. The fault lies with Zhou Ming and the other two good-for-nothings. Do you know why we made the competition between the sacred academies so cruel and unreasonable? Chapter 12:47. Demon Saint. Not far ahead should be where the most important spiritual vein of the Blood Demon Church is located. On a mountain peak in the Dragon Head realm, Yi Fei narrowed his eyes as he looked at a heavily guarded mountain peak in the distance. This mountain peak was not too far away from the Blood Demon sect's headquarters. At the same time, it was also the most important mountain peak in the Blood Demon sect. Spirit veins were rare in the Dragon Head realm. Any one of them was enough for demons to fight over. The reason Yifei knew about this spirit vein was all thanks to Hongyu. After helping Hongyu remove the blood demon sect's curse, Hongyu told Yifei everything she knew about the blood demon sect. For example, this spirit vein used to belong to a small sect. Later, the blood progenitor of the blood demon sect accidentally discovered that this spirit vein was extremely valuable. Therefore, he took it by force. Not only did he take the spirit vein, but he also destroyed the small sect. Hongyu happened to be the remnant forces of that small sect. After the sect was destroyed, they were forced to join the blood demon sect. However, the higher-ups of the blood demon sect did not trust them. Instead, they were all transferred to the sect. In addition, they sent disciples who were absolutely loyal to the blood demon sect to be responsible for guarding this place. Of course, the main reason Yifei did not go to the blood demon sect's headquarters and came here instead was because Hongyu told him that a blood progenitor of the blood demon sect happened to be hiding in the spirit vein and cultivating wholeheartedly. Therefore, the blood demon sect transferred a large number of elites to protect this mountain range from the invasion of other demons. Therefore, Yifei decided that before joining the blood demon sect, he would first test the strength of the blood demon sect. After all, he had entered the tiger's den alone. If he directly went to the blood demon sect and asked about the secret of the Black Lotus, even a fool would know that there was something wrong with him. If the blood demon sect had many powerful experts, they might even turn around and capture him. Therefore, Yifei decided to come here first to scout the blood demon sect and the blood progenitor's strength. He thought as he walked. Soon, he approached the defensive perimeter. Seeing that an outsider had come in, a large group of blood demon sect disciples immediately rushed over. "What are you doing?" "The blood demon sect's forbidden area. Trespassers will die. I'll give you 3 breaths time to leave." Whoosh! Large groups of martial sacred demons rushed out from their hiding places. Judging from a number of them, it was obvious how important the spirit vein was to them. However, this might have something to do with the blood progenitor cultivating here. Yifei thought to himself. His footsteps didn't stop as he continued to walk inside. "I don't care what bullshit blood demon sect you are. I can sense that there's a very powerful spirit vein here. It's very suitable for my cultivation. From now on, this area belongs to me, Devil Saint Yifei. If you don't want to die, get out of my sight." Yifei's face was cold and arrogant. His demonic aura was dense. Before he fell into the demonic path, Zhao Qianjun had warned him that if he had strength among the evil spirits, he had to show it. The fiercer he was, the more he could intimidate the other evil spirits. If he was still peaceful among the evil spirits, then there was something wrong with his brain. Therefore, Yifei looked like he was going to snatch the spirit vein. He didn't even blush when he gave himself the flashy name of Devil Saint. Since his master dared to call himself Devil Emperor, it didn't seem inappropriate for him to call himself Devil Saint. But how did these words sound in the ears of the blood demon sect disciples? How did they stare at Yifei? How did they want to tear Yifei to pieces? "Devil Saint, you sure talk big. Yifei, you didn't even ask around about the strength of the blood demon sect. How dare you come here to snatch our territory? If you know what's good for you, get out of here immediately. If you alarm the blood progenitor, you'll die without a complete corpse." A blood demon sect protector sneered in response. He didn't suspect Yifei's motives. Firstly, Yifei was the public enemy of the 4 academies. The news that he had fallen into the demonic path had long spread throughout the Dragon Head world. Secondly, in the Dragon Head world, it was common for evil demons to snatch territory from each other. Since Yifei had become an evil demon, it was normal for him to snatch a territory as a cave abode. However, Yifei didn't know what was good for him. He came here to snatch the blood progenitor's spirit vein. That was too arrogant and ignorant. "Sorry, I don't know how to get out of here. Please demonstrate for me." Yifei sneered and suddenly attacked. A huge sword light turned into a sword storm that instantly engulfed the surrounding blood demon sect disciples, including the protector. They spun wildly and screamed in pain. Bam! When the sword storm stopped, Not a single blood demon sect disciple could stand in front of Yi Fei. They all fell to the ground and looked at Yi Fei with fear. What are you looking at? Can't you understand my words? From now on, this place belongs to me, Devil Saint. I'll give you 15 minutes to pack your things and get out of here. Yi Fei snorted and strode into the mountain range in the distance. This time, no one dared to stop him. However, just as Yi Fei was about to enter the mountain range that contained the spirit vein, there was a loud boom. An awe-inspiring aura suddenly came from the mountain range. Devil Saint, what an arrogant name. As the holy son of the blood demon sect, even I, Gao Chong, don't dare to use this name. How dare you, a cripple abandoned by the heavens and abandoned by the Sacred Academy, come to our blood demon sect? It's Holy Son Gao Chong. That's great. We're saved now. Holy Son, he wants to snatch the spirit vein. You must stop him. The surrounding blood demon sect disciples were all excited. Yi Fei was also a little surprised. Gao Chong is the holy son of the blood demon sect? I wonder how you compare to the holy son of the Sacred Academy? Knowing that Yi Fei was here to stir up trouble, Gao Chong naturally wouldn't be polite and immediately mocked him. Humph, I can't compare to the holy sons of the 3 Sacred Academies, but compared to the trash Sacred Academies like the true martial Sacred Academy, I, Gao Chong, will kill whoever comes. Through these words, Yi Fei understood that the true martial Sacred Academy had declined to such an extent that even the small blood demon sect didn't put it in their eyes. Then, Yi Fei's anger was ignited. He didn't say anything and suddenly rushed towards Gao Chong. You're courting death. Gao Chong was furious. He wasn't convinced by Yi Fei's achievements in the Blood Sea level. Billowing blood, Qi formed a blood python and burst out from his body. The blood python was incomparably huge, and its body flickered with a mysterious metallic luster. It opened its snake mouth, and its sharp teeth made a rumbling sound as it bit the air. The most terrifying thing was that there were 8 kinds of profound meanings around the blood python. There were 8 kinds of profound meanings. No wonder Gao Chong is so arrogant. Just 8 kinds of profound meanings are enough to shake off many heavenly sons of the true martial Sacred Academy. Yi Fei nodded secretly, acknowledging Gao Chong's strength. Then, when the blood python opened its mouth and rushed in front of him, he roared. The life and death fist carried a total of 11 terrifying rays of light. It smashed the blood python's head into pieces on the spot. The whistling death fist turned into a hurricane and smashed towards Gao Chong behind him. Gao Chong blocked in horror, but the profound meanings released by Yi Fei were too terrifying. Chapter 1248. The Blood Ancestor Exits Seclusion-Wa. Gao Chong spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. His eyes widened in disbelief. He hadn't expected Yi Fei to be so powerful. Just one punch was enough to seriously injure him. Of course, this was because Yi Fei had held back. Otherwise, his punch would have been enough to kill Gao Chong. If I didn't need to sneak into the Blood Demon sect and find a way to dissolve the Black Lotus, I would have killed Gao Chong directly. Yi Fei had left the true martial Sacred Academy, but he was still angry at Gao Chong for looking down on the true martial Sacred Academy. This time, he had used a little more force. Seeing that even Gao Chong had been defeated, the disciples of the Blood Demon sect who were about to cheer for Gao Chong turned red. With great difficulty, they swallowed their words of encouragement. However, Gao Chong could clearly feel the change in the way the disciples looked at him. He had bragged so much just now, but in the end, he had been defeated in a few moves by Yi Fei. Embarrassed and angry, Gao Chong jumped up and roared, Yi Fei, don't leave if you have the guts. I'll ask the Blood Ancestor to come out and deal with you. These words were exactly what Yi Fei wanted. His purpose in coming here was to test the Blood Ancestor's strength before deciding whether to sneak into the Blood Demon sect. He hurriedly urged impatiently, Go. As long as the one who comes out isn't a good-for-nothing like you, I'll kill as many as the Blood Ancestor comes. From now on, the Blood Demon sect must also respect the Demon Saint. Yi Fei found a very valiant excuse to show mercy. He wanted to subdue the blood demon sect. The dignified, holy son of the blood demon sect had been treated like a good-for-nothing by Yi Fei. Gao Chong was so angry that he almost bled. Good, good. You have guts. I'd like to see how you kill the blood ancestor and subdue the blood demon sect. Filled with rage, Gao Chong stumbled into the mountain range and went straight to the place where the blood ancestor was in seclusion. He cried, "Master, you have to avenge your disciple. What happened? Didn't I say that anyone who disturbs me while I'm cultivating must die?" Inside the cave, the blood ancestor awoke from his cultivation. His eyes flashed violently. Even though Gao Chong was his disciple, he still wanted to kill him. "Master, your disciple didn't mean to disturb you," said Gao Chong. "It's just that someone came to steal the spirit vein, and none of us are a match for him." He even said that he would kill as many of the blood ancestors as he could, and then subjugate the entire blood demon sect. Inside the cave, an extremely violent demonic aura was emitted. Then an old man, who was as strong as a lion, rushed out angrily. "What did you say? In the Dragon Head realm, there is someone who dares to kill our blood ancestor. Who is that person? Where is he?" "That person is Yi Fei. He's just outside the mountain." Bang! Before Gao Chong could finish his sentence, the enraged blood ancestor had already transformed into a blood python, crushing countless trees and rocks as it rushed out. When it reached the outside of the mountain range, the blood python suddenly shrank and turned back into a bloody figure. The bloody figure gradually became clearer and turned back into the muscular old man. The old man was wearing a bloody robe. He stared at Yi Fei coldly and cursed with a frown. "Are the people of the blood demon sect useless? They can't even defeat a 7th-layer martial sacred." After cursing, the blood ancestor's eyes flickered coldly as he yelled, "Kid, who sent you here? I don't kill nameless people." The blood ancestor had obviously been in seclusion for a long time. He had never heard of Yi Fei's achievements. Seeing that Yi Fei was only a 7th-layer martial sacred, he assumed that Yi Fei was a scapegoat sent by some expert. After understanding the blood ancestor's thoughts, Yi Fei could not help but smile bitterly. "It seems like my cultivation is still too low. I have to make a breakthrough when I have the time. Otherwise, all the old men will be shouting at me. You must be that bullshit blood ancestor. You're already old. Your blood demon sect is too backward. If you don't want to die, bring your subordinates and join me, the demon saint, as my lackey." Yi Fei said proudly. His words made Gao Chong, who ran out after him, so scared that his legs began to tremble. "There are a lot of arrogant demons, but I have never seen one as arrogant as you. Since you have disturbed my cultivation, I will take your life." Blood python strangle. Bang! The blood ancestor snorted coldly. He was not angry at Yi Fei's arrogant words. Instead, he was full of murderous intent. He opened his palm, and the qi and blood in his body turned into a blood python, biting toward Yi Fei. However, this blood python was much more powerful than Gao Chong's blood python. Its body alone was 10 feet long. It was like a real vicious beast. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow its prey. Almost in the blink of an eye, the blood python arrived in front of Yi Fei. Just as the blood python raised its neck and was about to swallow Yi Fei finally moved. He launched a life and death fist. The terrifying fist of death with endless battle intent and murderous intent suddenly punched into the blood python's mouth. A transparent hole appeared on the blood python's head. A serious look flashed across the blood ancestor's face. He said in a deep voice, "You are only a 7th-layer martial sacred, but you can fight someone 7 levels above you. No wonder you are so arrogant. Unfortunately, you are facing our blood ancestor, not those weak early-stage martial emperors. Go to hell." Boom. The mountain range shook as the blood ancestor's aura rose, as if it was going to collapse at any time. Yi Fei suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of danger. Indeed, the 7th-layer divine war, Dao, allowed him to fight someone 7 levels above him like a powerful bloodline cultivator. However, he could only deal with early-stage martial emperors. When a cultivator reached the martial emperor realm, there were no longer any levels. There were only realms. For example, early stage, mid-stage, late stage, and perfected. Above the perfected realm, one would be a martial emperor. However, as the Chimu continent had experienced the calamity of the human and devil race, the martial Tao had declined. The quasi-emperor realm was the limit. Similarly, if Yi Fei wanted to challenge a mid-stage martial emperor, he would have to fight someone 8 levels above him. Late stage, 9 levels. Perfected, 10 levels. As for a quasi-emperor realm, unless Yi Fei could break through the limit of the divine war Tao and enter the fiend god realm, a quasi-emperor realm would turn him into ashes. I didn't expect the blood ancestor to be a mid-stage martial emperor. This is going to be troublesome. Yi Fei was shocked. When he saw the blood python pouncing toward him again, he quickly activated the Taiji domain. Only by relying on the power of the domain could he remain undefeated in front of the mid-stage martial emperor realm blood ancestor. However, it would be wishful thinking to defeat the blood ancestor like this. Yi Fei couldn't help but feel bitter. He knew that he was still a frog in a well, looking down on the heroes of the world. However, he didn't know that the blood ancestor was shocked to the core. Originally, Yi Fei wasn't a bloodline cultivator, but he could fight someone 7 levels above him. This already shocked the blood ancestor. Now, Yi Fei was even using the power of the domain in front of him. The blood ancestor was undoubtedly shocked. Chapter 1249. Origin of the Blood Demon Boom. The blood python disappeared, and the blood ancestor sent out a bloody hand to grab the Tai Chi domain. 10 terrifying demonic flames burned on his bloody hand. Those weren't demonic flames, but the intents of the blood ancestor. Furthermore, they were all related to blood. When these 10 intents overlapped, everyone present felt as if their blood was going to be melted by this hand, let alone Yi Fei. Yi Fei also felt the blood in his body become restless, as if it was going to burn. He was secretly shocked by how terrifying the blood ancestor was, but he was also glad that he hadn't charged into the blood demon sect on impulse. He didn't have time to think. He could only use all his strength to activate his 11 domains. A huge yin and yang Tai Chi shattered the void and collided with the bloody hand. Boom! The bloody hand and Tai Chi collided and shattered at the same time. The shockwaves from the explosion formed a terrifying hurricane that sent Gao Chong and the others rolling on the ground. They had no choice but to get up and retreat from the valley. Yi Fei also felt his body shake violently. He retreated continuously, injured to a certain extent. Although my intents and domains can block the blood ancestor's attack, there is still a gap between my cultivation level and his. I don't want to admit it, but I can't defeat the blood ancestor right now. Yi Fei wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, feeling defeated. He had been invincible all this time. Even when facing Jin Pabai, he could escape unscathed. However, when facing the powerful blood ancestor, he didn't have a good solution. Unless he dared to break through to the 8th level of the War God Dao and War Demon Dao, he would attract a heavenly tribulation. However, when he thought about how the heavenly tribulation was able to destroy a martial emperor-level demonic god like the blood demon, even though the blood demon was suppressed and unable to unleash its full strength, it was clear how terrifying the heavenly tribulation triggered by the despair energy was. Yi Fei didn't dare to risk his life again unless he had no other way out. Thus, he could only retreat and distance himself from the blood demon. Junior, you are very strong. If you are given a few more years to grow, perhaps even our blood ancestor will not be your opponent. However, I will not give you that chance. Today you must die. The blood demon sneered, but his heart was shocked to the extreme. There was even a trace of fear in his heart. It was this fear that made him not dare to give Yi Fei another chance to grow. Feeling blood ancestor's murderous intent, Yi Fei sneered. That's not necessarily true. Your realm is higher than mine, but my domain and Upanishads are better than yours. If we really fight, both of us will suffer. So what if both sides are injured? I have so many martial sages under my command. Are they just decorations? The blood ancestor pressed on, not giving Yi Fei a chance to escape. Master, let me help you. Gao Chang saw an opportunity, and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He rushed over with a group of blood demon sect martial sages. Scram! Whoever dares to approach, don't blame this Yi for unleashing his demonic nature. Roar! Yi Fei saw that the probing was about done. If he didn't show his trump card now, it would really be a fight to the death. He finally made up his mind and removed the suppression on the black lotus in his body. The black lotus suddenly moved. It spun wildly and released an endless demonic aura, trying to force Yi Fei into a demonic state. This feeling was no different from stripping away one's consciousness and tearing one's soul apart. Even if Yi Fei's willpower was as strong as iron, he still couldn't help but let out a terrifying roar. Boom! The sky turned pitch black. Only the boundless demonic aura surrounded Yi Fei. Gao Chang and the others hadn't even gotten close, but they were already trembling under this demonic aura. They exclaimed in horror, "The demonic aura of the blood ancestor. Why does he have the same aura as the blood ancestor?" The blood ancestor? How can this kid be the blood ancestor too? The most shocked person was the blood ancestor himself. He could swear that there were only 3 blood ancestors in this generation. What was going on with Yi Fei? Suddenly, the blood ancestor thought of 2 possibilities. Either Yi Fei was the illegitimate son of the other 2 blood ancestors and had also inherited the demonic blood, or Yi Fei, like their ancestors, had gained the recognition of the blood demon and obtained the blood demon origin. If it was the former, it would be fine, but if it was the latter, the blood ancestor shuddered at the thought. He no longer dared to attack Yi Fei. Instead, he immediately changed from a ferocious look to a smiling face. He said to Yi Fei regretfully, "Brother Yi Fei, please stop. We are all brothers of the same origin. Let's not cross each other's path. Stop it. Stop my ass. Once I become demonic, I can't control it. There's no other way except to perish together with you." Yi Fei pretended to be furious. His eyes gradually turned blood red. His words revealed 2 things. First, he couldn't control the demonic aura in his body. Second, if the blood ancestor didn't help him control it, he would simply perish together with the blood ancestor. The blood ancestor was also a shrewd person. How could he not understand Yi Fei's intentions? Other than secretly cursing him for being shameless, he didn't have the guts to attack Yi Fei again until he was sure of Yi Fei's identity and purpose. The blood ancestor could only laugh dryly. Haha, so junior brother doesn't know how to control the demonic aura. That's easy. Listen to this chant and quickly suppress it. F***CK, if I don't hurry up and suppress it, am I really going to risk my life with you? Yi Fei cursed inwardly. However, after this test, he realized that this group of blood ancestors might really have a way to dissolve the Black Lotus. Thus, he decided to use the chant given by the blood ancestor and try to activate the Black Lotus. The crazily spinning Black Lotus in his body actually calmed down under the effect of the chant. The billowing demonic aura also disappeared from Yi Fei's body. It actually worked. Yi Fei was pleasantly surprised. He felt that coming here to find the blood ancestor was the right choice. However, the blood ancestor was frightened. He walked up and laughed dryly. Ha, of course. We are all humans. It's inevitable that we will reject the blood of a demon god. This chant is specially used to suppress the demonic aura. By the way, junior brother, how did you become the blood ancestor? The blood ancestor first tried to get closer to Yi Fei and then immediately began to fish for information. Yi Fei sneered and said, "I was unlucky. I accidentally entered an ancient ruin and was inexplicably captured by Golden Buddha. He forced a black lotus in my body and then threw me out." What? It wasn't a black lotus, but demonic blood. What? A black lotus has already been born in your body. The blood ancestor was so shocked that his eyes almost popped out. They were filled with crazy jealousy and envy. Junior brother, did the Golden Buddha tell you anything? At this point, the blood ancestor actually felt nervous and afraid. Seeing his expression, Yi Fei was even more certain that the blood ancestor and the blood demon had a deep relationship. Then, Yi Fei pretended to be shocked and looked at the blood ancestor in surprise. "What did you call me just now? Junior brother? The chant you gave me just now actually suppressed the demonic aura in my body. What's going on? Can your blood ancestor dissolve the black lotus in my body?" The blood ancestor was very dissatisfied with Yi Fei's change of topic. He laughed dryly and said, "Haha, junior brother, the black lotus is a good thing. It means that the demonic blood in your body has completely merged with your body. Only the demonic aura of the demonic blood is a big problem. However, it's not impossible to solve. Senior brother, please save me." Without waiting for the blood ancestor to finish speaking, Yi Fei couldn't wait and hurriedly cupped his hands to ask for help. He looked as if he had been tortured to the point of insanity. The blood ancestor was secretly happy, but he pretended to be hesitant. "Junior brother, the Black Lotus is a top secret in the Blood Demon sect. However, you're not a member of the Blood Demon sect." Yi Fei's expression suddenly became very ugly. All kinds of complicated emotions appeared on his face. In the end, he sighed dejectedly and said, "I understand. As long as you can solve my problem, I'm willing to join the Blood Demon sect." "Ha! It's the Blood Demon sect's honor that junior brother can join us. From now on, you're the fourth blood ancestor of the Blood Demon sect. Your status is equal to mine. Come over and pay your respects to the fourth blood ancestor." Chapter 1250. Scheming. I thought it would take some effort to join the Blood Demon sect, but the blood ancestor let me in so easily. He even made me the fourth blood ancestor. There's no such thing as a free lunch. The blood ancestor definitely doesn't have good intentions. Yi Fei sneered in his heart. However, he had originally wanted to sneak into the Blood Demon sect and obtain the method to dissolve the Black Lotus. The blood ancestor was scheming against him, but he was also scheming against the blood ancestor. Yi Fei wasn't particularly worried. "Greetings, fourth blood ancestor." At that moment, a group of guardians and disciples of the Blood Demon sect came forward and bowed respectfully to Yi Fei. They didn't seem to care that the two sides were still at daggers drawn. Instead, they felt that this was normal. Yi Fei also felt that this was strange at first. Later, he realized that most evil demons had strange personalities. One moment, they called each other brothers. The next moment, they could stab each other in the back. This was also the reason why the blood ancestor had fought Yi Fei so fiercely in the beginning and now called Yi Fei senior brother. The special environment of the Dragon Head realm had created this group of evil demons. Yi Fei could only do as the Romans did and accept the greetings of the Blood Demon sect members. Only Gao Chang had an ugly expression. The enemy who had just defeated him had now become the fourth blood ancestor. Anyone would be unhappy with such a high position and power. Moreover, as the disciple of the blood ancestor and the holy son of the Blood Demon sect, Gao Chang didn't have the blood demon curse in his body. This made him not particularly respectful to Yi Fei. Instead, he was slightly dissatisfied and provoked him. The blood ancestor noticed this and glanced coldly at Gao Chang. Then, he apologized to Yi Fei. "This disciple has been spoiled by me. Junior brother Yi, please punish him as you wish." "Senior brother Shui, what are you saying? As a senior, how can I be so calculative with a junior? Gao Chang has a good nature and is very talented. He will definitely become a pillar of our Blood Demon sect in the future." Yi Fei's face was full of praise as he looked at Gao Chang with the eyes of a senior looking at a junior. However, Gao Chang was already in his 50s, while Yi Fei was only in his early 20s. How could he have the nerve to say that Gao Chang was still a child? Blood Hangman wasn't the only one who felt extremely awkward when he heard this. None of the Blood Demon sect disciples around him had a strange expression on their faces. Gao Chang was so angry that his face turned red and he spat out blood on the spot. Unfortunately, his strength and status weren't as good as Yi Fei's, so Gao Chang could only continue to hold back his anger. After the introduction, Yi Fei learned that there were 3 blood ancestors in the Blood Demon sect. They were Shui Yin, Shui Wan, and Shui Sha. The three of them were senior and junior brothers. Like Yi Fei, they also had the demonic blood of the blood demons in their bodies. However, they hadn't reached the level where they could condense a black lotus. This was also the reason why Shui Sha was so jealous when he heard that Yi Fei had a black lotus in his body. Seeing that he had already pulled Yi Fei into the blood demon sect, Shui Sha immediately began to ask around. Junior brother Yi, now that we are all on the same side, this isn't the place to talk. Come back to the blood demon sect with me. We will tell you whatever you want to know. I think it's more like you want to know something. Let me spit it all out. Yi Fei sneered in his heart. He had already experienced the strength of the blood ancestor. He would be stupid to go to the blood demon sect's lair. After all, there were two blood ancestors there. He was confident that he could escape unscathed from Shui Sha, but he wasn't confident that he could escape unscathed from the joint attack of three blood ancestors. He immediately threw out an excuse. Senior brother Shui, it's not that I don't want to visit my two brothers, but I'm busy breaking through my realm now and suppressing the demonic nature of the Black Lotus. Senior brother, how about this? Tell me how to dissolve the Black Lotus. After I dissolve the Black Lotus and break through my realm, we can return to the Blood Demon sect together. How about that? When Blood Hangman heard this, he almost turned hostile on the spot and fought with Yi Fei. Yi Fei could even say such shameless words. If Blood Hangman agreed to it, he would be a real fool. Shui Sha was relieved when he vaguely understood that Yi Fei came to dissolve the demonic nature of the Black Lotus. Only the three of us know how to dissolve the demonic nature of the Black Lotus. As long as this kid has a request for us, I don't believe that we can't find out the origin of the demonic blood. Shui Sha nodded with a smile. So Junior Brother is in a hurry to break through your realm. So you broke into this spirit vein. All right, then I'll wait for you to break through your realm, and we'll return to the Blood Demon sect together. You can use this spirit vein as you wish. Yi Fei was pleasantly surprised that Shui Sha was so generous. He thanked him repeatedly. Senior brother Shui, you're too kind to me. It's really my fortune to be able to join the Blood Demon sect. I want to use this spirit vein to break through now. Yi Fei was indeed in a hurry. He had killed Jean Pabai and the other two and obtained a large number of spirit stones. It was just that he hadn't found a suitable place to cultivate in peace. Shui Sha laughed heartily when he heard Yi Fei's words. Haha, since Junior Brother Yi is in such a hurry, I won't disturb you. You can enter my cave residence to cultivate now. When you break through, we'll return to the Blood Demon sect. After Shui Sha said that, he really gave his cave residence to Yi Fei to cultivate in. It was as if he had completely regarded Yi Fei as a senior brother. Yi Fei didn't refuse. He walked into Shui Sha's cave residence with his head held high and his chest puffed out. Gao Chong and the others were shocked. The fourth blood ancestor really didn't treat them as outsiders. Master, does this kid really have a death wish, or does he have something to rely on? Gao Chong secretly asked Shui Sha when he saw Yi Fei enter. Shui Sha's smiling face stiffened, and there was a faint murderous intent. Someone who can kill the emperor of the three academies and escape unscathed must have something to rely on. How dare he speak to me like this? Master, are you really going to accept him as the fourth blood ancestor? Gao Chong suddenly became anxious. He didn't want Yi Fei to address him as a child every day. Shui Sha also looked a little hesitant. On the one hand, he definitely didn't want the three blood ancestors of the Blood Demon sect to become the fourth blood ancestor. However, Yi Fei could condense a Black Lotus as soon as he obtained the demon blood. There was only one possibility. The demon blood that Yi Fei had obtained was personally bestowed by the Blood Demon. The ancestors of Shui Sha and the other two had also obtained such demon blood. The price they had paid was that the ancestors of the Shui family had worked hard to rescue the Blood Demon. Therefore, after discovering that Yi Fei possessed the demon blood and had even turned into a Black Lotus, Shui Sha's attitude changed drastically. Not only did he accept Yi Fei into the Blood Demon sect, but he also admitted that Yi Fei was the fourth blood ancestor on the spot. Everything I'm doing is for the sake of stabilizing this person and buying time. Gao Chong, You guys stay here and watch over him. Don't let Yi Fei leave. I'll return to the Blood Demon sect first." When Shueisha instructed Gao Chong, he reckoned that Yi Fei had already started cultivating. He immediately set up several sets of powerful trapping array formations around the cave abode. Then he sneered proudly. "Humph! If you don't follow me back to the Blood Demon sect, I'll invite my 2 senior brothers over as well. When the time comes, we'll make you spit out everything you have, regardless of what you're relying on." After saying that, Shueisha quickly rushed into the sky and rushed back to the Blood Demon sect as fast as he could. Gao Chong also led some people and immediately surrounded the cave abode. Any movement in the cave abode would alert them, but they were simply overthinking it. After entering the cave abode, Yi Fei had no intention of going out at all. "Shueisha probably tricked me into entering the cave abode to trap me, and then go back and invite the other 2 blood ancestors to deal with me together." Unfortunately, he miscalculated. Chapter 1251. Disloyal Heart. Following Yi Fei's words, a pair of bright eyes quickly appeared in the beast mark space. Xiao Chao was too sensitive to spiritual energy. With such a huge spirit vein in front of him, it was impossible not to attract Xiao Chao's attention. He dragged the dragon turtle and ran out. Xiao Chao looked around expectantly. "Xiao Chao, stop looking. This spirit vein is ours. You can absorb as much as you want," Yi Fei said with a smile. Since the blood ancestor dared to scheme against him, Yi Fei naturally wouldn't be polite to him. He pretended to be tricked into coming in just to gain the Blood Massacre's trust and make the Blood Massacre think that he could trap him. Now that the Blood Massacre had left, Yi Fei naturally wouldn't have any reservations. He pointed at the huge spirit vein in the distance and instructed the dragon turtle. "Turtles are best at digging holes. Big Black, go over there now and secretly dig a tunnel under the spirit vein. Whether or not we can hide from the people outside will depend on your performance." Roar. Hearing that Yi Fei actually treated it as an ordinary turtle, the dragon turtle was very displeased. Its face immediately darkened, and it revealed a look of disdain and unyieldingness. Yi Fei was already prepared for this. He pointed at the spirit vein and said, "You can also eat the spirit stones dug out from it. The prerequisite is that you dig a hole and don't alarm the people outside." Hearing this, the dragon turtle's disdain turned into extreme confidence. It even used its claws to dig a big hole in the spirit vein, indicating that turtles were indeed very good at digging holes. With the help of the dragon turtle, this hard spirit vein was quickly broken open like an iceberg. If Yi Fei had done it, the spirit vein would have already made a loud noise and cracked the mountain. However, vicious beasts were different. Many vicious beasts were good at digging holes. Furthermore, the dragon turtle was a vicious demon. It was born with a pair of dragon claws that made it possible for the dragon turtle to silently dig the spirit vein. As expected of senior brother Zhao, he knows the evil demon like the back of his hand. Not only did he calculate the blood ancestor's reaction, he also thought of using the dragon turtle to empty the spirit vein. In this way, even if the blood ancestor set up 100 formations outside, he wouldn't be able to trap me, let alone 10. As the dragon turtle kept digging the spirit vein, a large amount of spiritual liquid flowed out from the spirit vein. I didn't expect this to be a complete spirit vein preserved from ancient times. It was different from the current spirit veins. Spiritual veins were all abandoned from ancient times. The spirit stones and spiritual chi contained in them were simply incomparable to those in ancient times. The dragon vein in front of Yi Fei was different. This was a hidden and complete spirit vein that had not been discovered even in the ancient era. Such spiritual veins are priceless treasures to the 4 saint colleges. I didn't expect the Blood Demon sect to have one. No wonder the blood ancestor is so powerful. The dragon was the blood of the blood massacre of the blood of the blood of the blood of the 10 of the blood of the him. I can't leave this spirit vein to the Blood Demon sect. Even if I can't destroy it, I must absorb all the spiritual liquid in it. Yifei instantly made a decision. Spiritual qi could be turned into spirit stones, and spiritual liquid could be turned into fairy crystals. If the blood of the blood of the blood ancestor discovered that there was still spiritual liquid in the spirit vein, he might even reach the late stage of the martial emperor realm. In that case, it would be even more impossible for Yi Fei to obtain the solution to the Black Lotus from the blood of the blood ancestor. Xiao Qiao, let's each take half and absorb all the spiritual liquid. Yi Fei said to Xiao Qiao in a deep voice. Xiao Qiao was very distressed. If she had known that there was so much spiritual liquid here, she wouldn't have secretly eaten the fairy crystals in the beast mark space. After that, Xiao Qiao sat cross-legged on top of the spirit vein and began to work hard to absorb the spiritual liquid that gushed out of the spirit vein. Yi Fei didn't dare to be as exaggerated as Xiao Qiao and eat the elixir as if it was rice. If he wanted to absorb the spiritual liquid, he would have to first refine it and turn it into spiritual qi. Then, he would have to turn the spiritual qi into true essence in his body to strengthen his primordial spirit. It's a good thing that I don't have much except for my primordial divinity. I wonder how far my cultivation level will rise with such a large spirit vein. Looking at the time, Blood Hangman should have already returned to the Blood Demon sect. Yi Fei was excited, but he was also worried. Given the Blood Progenitor's speed, it would take at least a day to return to the Blood Demon sect. In reality, Blood Hangman, who was rushing back at full speed, only spent 3/4 of the time to rush back to the Blood Demon sect. He even rushed directly to the place where Xue Yin and Xuel Wan were cultivating in seclusion. Senior brothers, we're in trouble. We might be in for a great calamity. Xuesha's voice was very loud. Xue Yin and Xuel Wan, who were cultivating in seclusion, all rushed out quickly. Blood Hangman, weren't you cultivating in seclusion? What could have happened? As the leader of the Blood Demon sect, Xue Yin had a dignified aura. Xuel Wan, on the other hand, was graceful and elegant. He looked more like a scholar. Blood Hangman's combat strength was strong, and he was also the bravest of the three. Xue Yin and Xuel Wan were shocked when they saw Blood Hangman's frightened face. They hurriedly asked what had happened. Blood Hangman panted as he told them about Yi Fei. What? The fourth blood progenitor? That's impossible. When the blood demon bestowed the demon blood to our ancestor, didn't he say that he could only bestow the demon blood to 3 people? Xue Yin's expression changed drastically. This news was too shocking. That's because the blood demon needed our ancestor to rescue him. However, after so many years, we still haven't been able to rescue the blood demon. It seems like the demon god has started to suspect us. That's why he started to choose a new servant to rescue him. Xuel Wan analyzed gloomily. Xue Yin's and Blood Hangman's expressions changed at the same time. They didn't doubt Xuel Wan's judgment. In fact, their ancestor had been guilty since the time of their ancestor. They had only agreed to help the blood demon because they wanted to obtain the demon blood and possess a special bloodline. However, the blood demon was also cunning. When he bestowed the demon blood, he also cast the blood demon curse in the demon blood. The blood progenitor used this curse to control a large number of martialists and turn them into blood slaves to attack the Sky Dragon Treasure Temple and rescue the blood demon. However, as the blood demon sect grew stronger, the blood progenitor's ambition also started to grow. If they rescued the blood demon, it would be fine if the blood demon could remove the curse. However, if the blood demon went back on his words, they who had been cursed would become the blood demon's slaves. Their lives would no longer be in their own hands. Of course, the blood progenitor, who was in a high position, wouldn't tolerate such a thing. Therefore, they gradually started to disobey. Unless they couldn't delay any longer, these blood progenitors would risk their lives to enter the Sky Dragon Treasure Temple before the curse took effect and pretend to rescue the blood demon. Of course, this was a secret that only the blood progenitor knew. They secretly betrayed the blood demon, but on the surface, they constantly proclaimed that the blood demon was supreme. Of course, as the representative of the blood demon, the blood progenitor status was even higher. This was also the reason why Blood Hangman didn't dare to attack Yi Fei after discovering that he had the demon blood. He even had to admit that Yi Fei was the fourth blood progenitor. Chapter 1252. Eighth level of the Martial Saint realm, the three blood ancestors would never have thought that the powerful devil god that they revered had already been annihilated by the heavenly tribulation. Therefore, they discovered that the blood devil had taken in another servant and had given Yi Fei the Black Lotus to perfectly fuse with the devil blood. They were all panicking in their hearts. They were even more afraid that the blood devil would come after them once he escaped. Blood Massacre said with a terrified expression, "Senior apprentice brothers, what should we do? The blood devil suddenly created the fourth blood ancestor without our permission. Is he really planning to settle the score with us?" Settling the score? How can it be that simple? The blood devil has been suppressed since the ancient times. Even if he wants to settle the score, he must first escape. Shui-In shook his head coldly. Only his voice was trembling. In the blood demon sect, they were high and mighty. In the eyes of the devil god, they were only ants. Sensing their fear, Shuo-Wan thought for a while and said coldly, "The blood devil hasn't come out yet. What are we afraid of? Moreover, we didn't betray the blood devil publicly. Don't forget that our ancestors all chose to rush into the heavenly dragon treasure temple to save the blood devil." Shuo-Wan, do you think the blood devil is stupid? Our devil blood has the blood devil's curse that has been passed down for generations. Those ancestors who went and couldn't suppress the curse in their bodies. They had no choice but to take the risk and go in to die. At the same time, they also gave our master an explanation that they didn't betray him. You've been our master for so many years. Do you think he can't see our goal? Shui-In said coldly. If Yi Fei heard this, he would definitely be shocked. So those who were refined into bone devils by the golden Buddhas in the temple were the blood ancestors of the past. Shui-In's words made the three fall into a long silence. This was also the effect that Yi Fei wanted. If these blood ancestors knew that the blood devil was dead, Yi Fei would be walking into a trap. Most importantly, these blood ancestors didn't have the guts to enter the ancient temple. Naturally, they didn't know that the blood devil was dead. At this time, Yi Fei suddenly stood out as the new blood ancestor. This would definitely make the three blood ancestors suspicious and not dare to act rashly. Blood Massacre broke the silence and asked, "Senior apprentice brothers, how should we deal with this Yi Fei? Should I respect him, or should I just—" He made a beheading gesture, which made Shui-In jump in fright. He quickly waved his hand and said, "No, we can't kill this Yi Fei. He is a servant personally chosen by Master, just like our ancestors. If we kill him, Master will definitely not let us go once he escapes." Due to Yi Fei's appearance, Shui-In, a sect master martial monarch, had subconsciously started to treat the blood demon as his master. He was afraid that the blood demon would escape and seek him out for revenge. Shui-In wasn't the only one who was worried. Shueisha's expression was also extremely ugly. In the end, both of their gazes landed on Shuo-Wan, who was the smartest among them. "Shuo-Wan, you have a lot of ideas. What do you think we should do?" Wan Shui sighed, shook his head and said, "Blood devil is the master, and we are all slaves. Once the blood devil escapes and discovers our betrayal, we will be killed by the blood devil, just like our ancestors who entered the heavenly dragon treasure temple." Shuo-Wan, you said that our ancestors died at the hands of the blood demon. What evidence do you have? Shui-In and Shueisha were shocked. Shuo-Wan smiled coldly and said, "Useless slaves. Not only were they unable to save their master, but they also only went in to beg their master for help when the curse flared up. If you were in his shoes, what would you do?" Of course, killing such a slave would be the best. Shui-In and Shueisha thought to themselves viciously. Then, their faces turned pale. Shuo-Wan's face was also slightly pale as he continued. "Therefore, we can't kill this Yi Fei. If we kill him, we will be betraying the blood demon completely. The blood demon won't even need to do anything. The demon blood's curse will take our lives. Of course, we can't let this Yi Fei go either. Dozens of generations of blood ancestors have failed to save the blood demon. If Yi Fei succeeds, we will all die regardless of whether we betrayed him or not. Shuowan's heart was in a mess as he said this. It wasn't that he wasn't smart enough. The only thing he hadn't thought of was that the blood demon would be destroyed by Yi Fei using the heaven's tribulation. Even Zhao Qianjun hadn't thought of this. Therefore, when he found out that Yi Fei wanted to sneak into the blood demon sect to find a way to remove the Black Lotus, Zhao Qianjun immediately helped Yi Fei come up with a series of plans. This plan indeed made the three blood ancestors flustered. Shuowan's words put Xue Yin and Xue Sha in a difficult position. Shuowan, what do you think we should do? It's very simple. There are two ways. First, we will atone for our mistakes and cooperate fully with Yi Fei to rescue the blood demon at all costs. Second, we will control Yi Fei and dig out the Black Lotus in his body before the blood demon escapes. The ancestors said that the Black Lotus is the key to breaking free from the blood demon's control. Shuowan's eyes flashed coldly. Xue Yin and Xue Sha's eyes flashed with a crazed glint. Xue Sha grinned maliciously. I have already tricked that kid into cultivating in the cave abode. As long as the three of us work together, that kid will definitely be no match for us. Rumble. In a cave abode, Yi Fei closed his eyes and cultivated with all his might. Time was very tight. It will only take 2 days to go back and forth from here to the blood demon sect. If senior brother Zhao's speculation is correct, the three blood ancestors will definitely come here in 2 days and force me to reveal the secret of the blood demon. In other words, he only had 2 days to cultivate in the spiritual vein. In these 2 days, he had to break through to the next level. Then he would have the ability to fight with a martial king in the intermediate stage. Thinking of this, Yi Fei did not hesitate anymore. Just as the dragon turtle dug out all the spiritual veins, he suddenly released all of his primordial spirits. The 8 primordial spirits started to crazily absorb the spiritual liquid that was gushing out from the spiritual vein. Xiao Qiao did the same. His belly was round from eating, but he still refused to give up on collecting the delicious spiritual liquid. While Yi Fei was cultivating, Xiao Qiao took out large and small water jars and moved the excess spiritual liquid into the beastmark space one by one. He planned to drink it slowly as a beverage in the future. The most exaggerated one was the dragon turtle. As it dug the hole, it opened its mouth everywhere. It ate any spirit stones it saw and drank any spirit liquid it saw. A huge spirit vein was emptied by the dragon turtle in just 1 day. A large amount of spirit stones and spirit liquid were swallowed by the dragon turtle's mouth in 1 gulp. When the dragon turtle emptied the spiritual vein, its entire body was so fat that it looked like a ball. It could not even stand on the ground with its 4 limbs. It could only call for help in a panic. Yi Fei and Xiao Qiao's faces darkened at the same time. This was a complete spiritual vein. In the end, half of it was destroyed by the dragon turtle's black mouth. Fortunately, they also gained a lot. Xiao Qiao drank until his entire body became fat. However, there were still no signs of him growing up. Yi Fei successfully used the spiritual liquid here to break through to the 8th level of the martial saint realm. If there was enough time, he could definitely break through to the 9th level of the martial saint realm. However, there was not enough time. Chapter 1253. Refined Corpse Puppet, Junior Martial Brother. According to my understanding of evil spirits, the blood ancestor will definitely set up countless killing formations to trap you inside the cave to prevent you from escaping. Once the other blood ancestors arrive, they will force you to spit out the blood demon's secret. At this time, you must not act rashly. Many of the evil spirits' formations are connected to the heart's blood. Once you break the formation, the blood ancestor will sense it. Then, Senior Martial Brother, what should I do? It's very simple. Dig a hole. The dragon turtle beside you is a fierce demon with dragon claws. It can silently dig through the spirit vein. The evil spirit's formations can only seal the cave, but not the spirit vein. Because of the spirit vein, you can't set up formations. If you dig through the spirit vein, You will be able to escape without anyone noticing. But what if the blood ancestor is waiting outside when I get out? Won't I be exposed? Yi Fei asked again. Zhao Qianjun laughed boldly, his body brimming with confidence. Evil spirits are suspicious. The blood demon is not an ordinary demon god, but the foundation of the blood demon sect. If the blood ancestor has a guilty conscience, he will definitely return personally after trapping you and tell the other blood ancestors. He will definitely not trust anyone else. At that time, your chance will come. Yi Fei was extremely excited as he recalled Zhao Qianjuan's flawless plan before he left. The people of the Zhao family are indeed born extraordinary. Even that old witch, the Empress Dowager, boasted that her plans were flawless and that she understood people's hearts. TSK. With Senior Marshal Brother Zhao's chance, I've already succeeded halfway in infiltrating the blood demon sect. After successfully climbing out of the cave under the spirit vein, Yi Fei narrowed his eyes and looked not too far away. Gao Chong was still leading people to guard the entrance of the cave as if they were facing a great enemy. Gao Chong had even checked the array formation several times to see if Yi Fei had discovered any traces of being trapped and breaking the array formation. With Senior Marshal Brother Zhao's plan, I successfully entered the blood demon sect. Now, I have to rely on myself to find a way to dissolve the Black Lotus. Kill! While Gao Chong and the others were unprepared, Yi Fei suddenly rushed out. He raised his sword and slashed down, killing the 2 blood demon sect disciples at the outermost perimeter. The remaining people also turned pale with fright. How is that possible? Wasn't the 4th blood ancestor trapped in the cave? Gao Chong was even more furious. Yi Fei, what are you trying to do? Of course it's to kill. 8 Division Heavenly Dragon. Roar, roar, roar. The 8 notes of the Heavenly Dragon resounded through the void. The golden body of Buddhism was indeed very effective in restraining evil spirits. Under the pressure of the Heavenly Dragon, the remaining disciples of the Blood Demon sect did not have the ability to resist. They were already stunned by the 8 notes of the Heavenly Dragon. Those with weak minds had their souls destroyed and fell to the ground. Only Gao Chong, as the holy son of the Blood Demon sect, could still barely manage to activate the Blood Devil art to resist the assault of the Heavenly Dragon's 8 sounds. However, even at his peak, Gao Chong had not been a match for Yi Fei's fist, let alone now that Yi Fei had broken through to the 8th level of the Martial Saint realm, and had even launched a sudden sneak attack. Boom! The 8 heavenly dragons only slammed towards Gao Chong viciously. Gao Chong was already screaming miserably as he fell to the ground, heavily injured. Fear also flashed in his eyes. Don't kill me, Lord Blood Ancestor. I surrender. I am willing to be your slave. Gao Chong begged for mercy, a cold light flashing in his eyes. All right, I agree. Yi Fei nodded happily, directly condensing a fist of death, cutting off all signs of life for Gao Chong. You! Gao Chong's eyes widened in hatred. He really wanted to curse out loud. You still want to kill me after agreeing to be your slave? What? I did agree to be your slave, but I did not say that I would not take your life. Still, don't worry. I will bring you back to life, starting a new life. Yi Fei sighed. If not for the fact that he really had no other choice, he would not have wanted to use the secret arts of the Hall of Life and Death. It was just that if he did not do that, he would not have been able to successfully enter the Blood Demon sect and find a way to deal with the Black Lotus. Forget it. This is all because the Blood Ancestor schemed against me first. The third Dean also told me that there is absolutely no mercy in the Dragon Head realm. Brother Gao, I can only accept your life. Fellow Taoist, please rise. Yi Fei channeled a large amount of immortal energy into Gao Chong's body. Then, he suddenly bowed respectfully towards Gao Chong's corpse. Gao Chong's corpse immediately jumped up with hatred. Ah, Yi Fei, you dare to kill me? Fellow Taoist, why would I kill you? Have you forgotten that you agreed to be my slave? Killing you is actually fulfilling your wish. Yi Fei began to argue. This was a true ghost argument. What he said was not the language of a human, but the language of a dead person. Killing me is fulfilling my wish. Yi Fei, You're spouting nonsense. Give me back my life. Gao Chong roared. What came out of his mouth was actually a strange tone. Yi Fei simply sat down cross-legged and used an even louder voice to debate with Gao Chong. Gao Chong, on the other hand, was dancing with joy and letting out a hateful howl. Sometimes he would sit on the ground and let out a maniacal laugh. That kind of laughter, coupled with the corpses all over the ground, really made one's scalp tingle. Even though this was the second time he had refined a corpse puppet, Yi Fei still felt his heart palpitate. He secretly thought that the martial arts of the Hall of Life and Death were not ordinary. If not for the fact that he really had no other choice, he definitely would not have used such an evil technique. He did not know if it was an illusion, but when he was communicating with the corpse puppet, Yi Fei faintly felt that there was a pair of eyes looking at him with interest through the corpse puppet. Yi Fei immediately thought of the strange scene when he had refined the corpse puppet last time. He also remembered that old voice. Fortunately, that voice did not appear this time. That strange gaze was more like an illusion. After a while, it mysteriously disappeared. In the end, Yi Fei, who was concentrating on refining the corpse puppet, could not remember what that feeling was. Because this was not the first time he had refined a corpse puppet, even though he was extremely repulsed by it, Yi Fei's powerful talent allowed him to complete the final step in half a day's time. When the night was dark and the wind was strong, a corpse puppet emitting a thick aura of death was already standing coldly beside Yi Fei. It then knelt down on one knee. Subordinate Gao Chong greets the fourth blood ancestor. Gao Chong, you're very good. You were my enemy when you were alive, and now you're my corpse puppet after you're dead. From now on, you are me, and I am still me. Let me ask you, how much do you know about the Black Lotus? Does the blood ancestor have a way to dissolve it? Yi Fei asked in a deep voice. Gao Chong replied without hesitation. I once heard the three blood ancestors discuss the Tao. They said that the Black Lotus is the symbol of the complete fusion of the demon blood. It is also the ultimate goal of the blood ancestors. As for how to dissolve it, I don't know. However, the research of the past blood ancestors is all in the Blood Demon Tower. Then where is the Blood Demon Tower? Yi Fei hastily asked. In the Blood Demon sect. Only the blood ancestors can enter that place. Others, including martial emperors, cannot enter, Gao Chong said coldly. Very good. Take me to the Blood Demon sect now. I want to enter the Blood Demon Tower, Yi Fei said excitedly. He finally saw the hope of dissolving the Black Lotus. Chapter 1254. The fourth blood ancestor, the Dark Night, was the favorite time for demonic beasts to hunt, but it was also the time when demons were least likely to appear. This reminded Yi Fei of the land of buried gods. The Dark Night in the land of buried gods was equally dangerous, and no one dared to approach it. In comparison, the Dark Night in the Dragon Head realm was much better. Similarly, demonic beasts were more reassuring than invisible monsters. Yi Fei was very cautious as he quickly approached the Blood Demon sect and carefully avoided the demonic beasts along the way. He was not afraid of these demonic beasts, but he did not want to fight with them. If this attracted the attention of the blood ancestor, then all his efforts would be in vain. Therefore, Yi Fei did not choose to fly. Every step he took on the ground was very careful. Halfway through, Yi Fei heard the angry roar of a demonic beast in the dark night. Then, a ball of blood light separated from the demonic beast's body and flew into the dark sky. That is the blood control technique of our blood demon sect. It can control the opponent's blood. For example, the blood ancestor can directly strip the opponent's blood out of the body and instantly turn the opponent into a dry corpse. Gao Chong explained in detail before Yi Fei could ask. Following his explanation, the demonic beasts in the distance became silent. Only a cold voice could be heard. Blood Hangman, ignore those demonic beasts. It is more important to rush to the spirit vein first. Haha, that kid is trapped in my cave residence. How can he fly away? There's still my array outside. As long as he breaks the array, I will sense it. Senior brothers, don't worry. That kid can't run away. Blood Hangman flew into the sky. In his hand was a demonic beast's fur that shone with a silver luster. This is the fur of the silver moon beast. It is very popular with the ladies of the quasi-emperor families. One fur is worth millions of high-grade spirit stones. Blood Hangman, you are so lucky. Shui-In and Shuelwan nodded, then shook their heads. However, although the fur is good, we need to be alive to spend it. For now on, hurry on with all your might. It is more important to solve the big problem first. Haha, if it weren't for this silver moon beast, I wouldn't have stopped. Let's hurry on our way and try to control that brat before he notices us. Blood Hangman put on the silver moon beast's fur, and his entire body shone with silver light. The three of them rushed into the distant sky at an extremely fast speed. It was only then that Yi Fei emerged from his hiding spot. Gao Chong followed suit and coldly said, "Blood progenitor, you've lured the other 3 blood progenitors to the spirit vein. Now that the blood demon sect is empty, it's the best time for the blood progenitor to enter the blood demon tower." That's right. Now that the blood ancestor has left, it's time for us to hurry on with our journey. Blackie, come out. Yi Fei reached out and grabbed the dragon turtle from the beast mark space. At this moment, the dragon turtle was still in the shape of a ball. Its belly was bulging so much that its shell was about to burst, and its limbs couldn't reach the ground. Yi Fei's face darkened. He then sat on the awkward dragon turtle with Gao Chong. Then, the dragon turtle slowly flew up and crazily moved in the direction of the blood demon sect. Its speed was like a black shooting star that streaked across the night sky. Of course, it would be better if this shooting star didn't burp. The dragon turtle's speed was extremely fast. The dragon turtle that was full had an explosive speed on the spot. It would take the middle stage martial emperor Blood Hangman, a full day to rush back to the blood demon sect from the spirit vein. As for the dragon turtle, it only took half a day to arrive outside the blood demon sect. At this moment, the sky was just beginning to brighten. Many of the blood demon sect's disciples were still in dreamland. However, the dragon turtle's burps were too loud, like thunder. The blood demon sect's disciples who were guarding the place were quickly alerted. "Who are you? How dare you trespass into our blood demon sect?" More than 10 guardians of the blood demon sect rushed over with their disciples. Yi Fei sat upright on the dragon turtle without moving. His face was cold and arrogant, just like many of the evil demons. Gao Chong's face turned cold. He jumped down from the dragon turtle and coldly scolded, "You don't even know me. All of you back off. This is none of your business. It's the Holy Sun. We're sorry, Holy Sun. We didn't know it was you." A few of the blood demon sect's guardians apologized profusely and looked curiously at Yi Fei. They were obviously very curious about Yi Fei's identity, but they didn't dare to ask. They could only retreat to the side and allow Yi Fei to enter the blood demon sect. When they saw that Gao Chong was actually walking behind Yi Fei, the blood demon sect guardians were even more shocked. They secretly rejoiced that they hadn't asked. Even the Holy Sun had to curry favor with him. This person's identity wasn't simple. Along the way, the two of them encountered a few more checks. However, they were easily resolved with Gao Chong's help. Gao Chong relied on his identity as the Holy Sun to smoothly bring Yi Fei into the blood demon sect's core area, the blood demon space. Blood Ancestor, this is the blood demon space. Normally, only disciples approved by the blood ancestor can enter this space to cultivate. Gao Chong explained to Yi Fei as they walked. Yi Fei looked at the blood demon space and felt the aura of many powerful demi-emperors. He nodded and said in a low voice, "It seems that there are many demi-emperors in the blood demon sect. It's average. My blood demon sect has a total of 53 demi-emperors. Only half of them are loyal to the blood ancestor. The rest were recruited or captured by the blood ancestor from the outside. Then he used the blood demon curse to control them and make them work for the blood ancestor," Gao Chong said coldly. After Gao Chong's explanation, Yi Fei learned that in order to control the blood demon sect, the 3 blood ancestors had placed the blood demon curse in every disciple's body. This curse could only be lifted by the blood ancestor. Only those who were loyal to the blood ancestor or had made great contributions to the blood demon sect could lift the curse. For example, Gao Chong was able to lift the curse because he was the holy son of the blood demon sect and had the blood massacre as his master. Of course, most people in the blood demon sect would never be able to lift the curse and would be controlled by the blood ancestor for the rest of their lives. Stop. The blood demon tower is an important place. Aside from the blood ancestor, no one is allowed to enter. Gao Chong, who is this person? Why have you brought an outsider here? While Gao Chong was explaining, Yifei had already arrived in front of a blood-red demon pagoda. This demon pagoda was similar to the demon ceiling pagoda, but it was filled with a dense demonic aura. It seemed that the blood ancestors' ancestors had seen the demon ceiling pagoda of the Buddhist sects, so they had built this demon pagoda in the style of the demon ceiling pagoda. There were 10 demi-emperors in blood-red robes outside. They were responsible for guarding the place. When they saw Yifei enter, they looked unfriendly. They didn't care about Gao Chong, the holy son of the blood demon sect. Gao Chong said coldly, "Blood ancestor, these are the guards of the blood demon tower. They are absolutely loyal to the 3 blood ancestors. Aside from the blood ancestor, they don't care about anyone else." Gao Chong, are you crazy? How can you call an outsider the blood ancestor? The 10 demi-emperors guarding the tower were shocked. If it were anyone else, they would have killed them without hesitation. Gao Chong shouted coldly, "Listen up. This is the 4th blood ancestor. He is also the new junior brother of the 3 blood ancestors. Get out of the way." The 4th blood ancestor? Are you kidding? Aside from the orders of the 3 blood ancestors, no one else. Boom. Chapter 1255. Blood Demon Tower. Humph. How could it be fake? Master has ordered that the 4th blood ancestor can enter the blood demon tower at will. You may leave. Whoever dares to resist will die from the curse. Gao Chong's voice turned sharp. Yifei still didn't say a word, but the demonic nature on his body became even more terrifying. He didn't even look at the half-emperors. He walked into the blood demon tower step by step. Wherever he passed, the half-emperors couldn't help but kneel on the ground. They weren't afraid of Yifei. They were afraid of the demonic nature on Yifei's body. The blood ancestor. It can't be wrong. This is definitely the aura of the blood ancestor. I didn't expect the blood demon sect to have another blood ancestor. After sensing Yifei's demonic nature, the half-emperors no longer doubted Yifei's identity. They respectfully retreated. Gao Chong acted as a door guard and blocked the entrance to help Yifei deal with any possible obstacles. Boom! When Yifei walked into the blood demon tower, he encountered a strange restriction. It wasn't until the restriction sensed the demonic nature that Yifei emitted that it slowly dispersed and no longer prevented Yifei from entering. Yifei was a little surprised. Then he suddenly understood. Senior brother Zhao is right. The demons are indeed suspicious. The 3 blood ancestors are obviously guilty. Not only did they send people to guard the blood demon tower, but they also set up a restriction that only the blood ancestors can pass through. Through this restriction, Yifei also sensed the importance that the blood ancestors attach to the blood demon tower. He was secretly excited. He hoped that he could find a way to dissolve the Black Lotus in the blood demon tower. The blood demon tower was divided into 3 levels. On the first level, there was a statue of the blood demon. Below the statue, there were more than 50 other statues. Many of them looked similar to the blood hangman that he had seen before. These statues should be the blood ancestors of the past. They were ordered to rescue the blood demon, but they obeyed on the surface. They only focused on developing their own forces. Otherwise, given the scale of the blood demon sect, if they mobilized all of their forces, they might have a chance of rescuing the blood demon. However, the blood ancestors had done a good thing by doing so. Otherwise, with how ferocious the demon god was, it would definitely be a catastrophe for the human world once he escaped. Without paying too much attention to the first floor, Yifei walked up to the second floor. As soon as he walked in, Xiao Chao rushed out and threw himself onto a pile of rocks and started rolling around. Upon closer inspection, they were not rocks, but huge pieces of immortal crystals. There were more than 10,000 of them, which was equivalent to a small immortal crystal mine. as expected of a sect that has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. I didn't expect that the blood demon sect of the Dragonhead realm would be so rich that it's overflowing with oil, while the blood demon sect of the Central Plains is hated by everyone. Roar! Roar! Seeing that Xiao Chao had discovered a large number of immortal crystals, the dragon tortoise, who was burping for being full, became anxious. However, it had eaten too much, and its belly was now on the ground before its limbs. However, the dragon tortoise had its own way. Seeing that Xiao Chao was rolling around happily in the immortal crystals, the dragon tortoise simply rolled over. As soon as it reached a piece of immortal crystal, it could not wait to eat it. Yi Fei was speechless on the spot. He was already considering if he should starve the dragon tortoise for a few meals to make it lose weight. Squeak! Little grass rolled on top of the immortal crystals for a while. Suddenly, she seemed to have discovered some kind of treasure. She suddenly ran toward the corner. Yi Fei took a closer look. He was so shocked that he almost cried out. He had seen something. It was a huge ice arrow that was as thick as an elephant's leg. Frost arrow. It can't be so coincidental. Could this be the other half of Martial Emperor Han Bing's emperor weapon, the Frost arrow? Yi Fei was pleasantly surprised when he saw the seal characters carved on the ice arrow. Xiao Chao was also struggling. He hugged the frost arrow and walked back to Yi Fei's side. After hugging it for a while, Xiao Chao's small hands turned red from the cold. There were even snowflakes floating in the air. Frost arrow. This is definitely the frost arrow. Yi Fei took the frost arrow from Xiao Chao and quickly took out the almost broken frost bow from his interspatial ring. Buzz! When the frost bow and the frost arrow met, they actually sensed each other and shook excitedly. However, the frost arrow shook violently. Due to the frost bow's self-destruction, it had lost a lot of its spiritual chi. After shaking a few times, it lost its strength and returned to silence. Even so, Yi Fei couldn't hide his joy at obtaining the frost arrow. After all, this was half of an emperor weapon. If he could repair the frost bow, even if he couldn't use it in the future, he could bring it back to the family Yi. The family Yi would have an emperor weapon and gain a strong foundation. That's strange. The blood demon sect has half of an emperor weapon. Why didn't they use it? Yi Fei held the frost arrow in puzzlement. He only came to his senses when he saw Xiao Chao blowing on his small hands that were red from the cold. It wasn't that the blood ancestor didn't want to use it, but that he couldn't. If the frost bow was the body of the sword, then the frost arrow was the blade. If the body of the sword could be used, then the blade would hurt the user before it could hurt the enemy. This was also why the blood demon sect didn't use the frost arrow when they discovered it. Looks like I have to repair the frost bow to use the frost arrow. However, I have to find Master Zhu to repair the frost bow. Thinking back to the time when he had repaired the frost bow, he couldn't bring himself to ask Master Zhu. No matter how thick-skinned he was, he would immediately expose his identity and attract the revenge of the legalists. I wonder if the true martial sacred academy has a weapon master. Yi Fei smiled bitterly. He had already betrayed the sacred academy, so there was no point in thinking about it. Xiao Chao saw that Yi Fei was in low spirits and immediately grabbed Yi Fei's hand to comfort him. She then pointed in another direction, indicating that Xiao Chao had found something good. Haha, Xiao Chao, you did well. Yi Fei composed himself and rubbed Xiao Chao's braids. Then, he walked with Xiao Chao in the direction where Xiao Chao had found the treasure. The dragon tortoise was burping as it tried its best to roll behind them. From time to time, it would eat some spiritual pills and spiritual herbs that they passed by. Yi Fei and Xiao Cao's faces twitched when they saw this. In the end, they couldn't be bothered with it. If it continued eating like this, it would be a miracle if the dragon tortoise didn't die from overeating. Of course, the biggest miracle was on the third floor of the Blood Demon Tower. There was a huge pool of blood there. Countless demonic beast corpses were piled up on both sides of the pool, forming a terrifying mountain of corpses. This reminded Yi Fei of the scene in the north where he saw the blood demon sect use the corpses of warriors to cultivate blood bodies. Could there be a blood bodies here too? No, that's not a blood bodies. It's a black lotus. Yi Fei's eyes widened as he looked at the black lotus blooming in the middle of the pool of blood. But soon, he realized that something was wrong. He couldn't sense any spiritual herbs on the black lotus. In fact, the entire black lotus gave him a strange feeling. No, this isn't a real black lotus. It's an illusory one, but there's a black lotus here. What are the blood ancestors trying to do? Chapter 1256. The demonic pool. Needless to say, Yi Fei's luck was pretty good this time. He really found a few hidden cultivation rooms at the edge of the blood pool. These were probably the places where the blood ancestors usually cultivated. They cultivated in the blood demon tower and used the power of the blood pool to increase their strength. In these training rooms, Yi Fei found a total of 50 books. Some of them were several hundred pages thick, and some were only a few sheets of paper. But these books were more important than any other treasure. This was because they were the records of generations of blood demons researching the demon blood within their bodies. It will take at least half a month to finish reading all these books. Luckily, I have the undying sword soul, which can increase my comprehension without limit. Yi Fei didn't crave for in-depth reading, but he could read extensively. He specifically searched for information about the Black Lotus and the blood pool. This search allowed him to find a lot of crucial information. Half a day later, Yi Fei completely raised his head. His eyes flashed with shock and joy. My guess was right. These blood ancestors are indeed looking for a way to break the demonic nature. Strictly speaking, the Black Lotus in my body isn't the demonic nature, but the source of the plague. The ancient demon god, the blood demon, was even more sinister and cunning than Yi Fei had imagined. According to the records in the books, when the blood demon bestowed the blood ancestors with the demonic blood to help them form a special bloodline, he actually left a trick up his sleeve. He deliberately used an evil technique called the plague source on the blood demons. From Yi Fei's point of view, this sorcery was similar to the child and mother goo of the sorcery path. Among them, the blood ancestor was the source of the plague. They used the blood demon curse to plant the source of the plague on the disciples of the blood demon church in order to control them. Similarly, the blood demon could control the blood ancestor through the source of the plague. In order to remove the blood demon's curse, the blood ancestor had to do his best to rescue the blood demon. This was equivalent to becoming a tool for the blood demon to save himself. The first few blood ancestors had indeed worked hard for this. However, back then, the Heavenly Dragon Treasure Monastery still had living flesh Buddhas. Every blood ancestor that entered died. Later on, as the blood demon sect grew in strength, the blood ancestors' ambitions began to grow. They were no longer willing to rescue the blood demons. After all, if they rescued the blood demon, they would become the blood demon's tools. Who would be willing to become a servant, or even a tool that was inferior to a servant? Thus, the blood ancestors began to research how to solve the source of the plague. However, due to the influence of the blood demon curse, the lifespan of the blood ancestors was very short, only a mere 300 years. For 300 years, they had to cultivate and enjoy themselves. Then, after 300 years, the blood ancestors who were unable to save the blood devil would be corroded by the source of the plague. Their demonic nature would erupt, and they would go crazy and die. Therefore, many blood ancestors would leave a large portion of their essence blood for their descendants to continue researching during the last year of the curse's eruption. They would enter the Heavenly Dragon Treasure Monastery with the determination to die. They would pretend to rescue the blood demon, but in fact, they wanted to beg the blood demon to break the curse. However, the blood demon wasn't someone to be trifled with. When he realized that the blood ancestors weren't sincere in saving him, or that they didn't have the ability to save him, he killed all the blood ancestors that entered and refined them into bone demons. After reading to this point, Yi Fei didn't know why, but he had a faint suspicion that the blood demon wasn't counting on the blood ancestors to save him. Instead, he simply wanted to refine a large number of bone demons. This might be the blood demon's trump card to save himself. However, regardless of the reason, there was no news of the blood ancestors that had entered the ancient temple. The descendants of the blood ancestors outside were still dying one by one. Gradually, the blood ancestors outside lost all confidence in the blood demon. They no longer placed their hopes on the blood demon's magnanimity. Instead, they gathered all their manpower and resources to study how to break the demonic nature in their bodies. The incantation to suppress the demonic nature that Yi Fei had obtained from the Blood Massacre sect was the result of a genius from the Xie clan, the Blood Ancestor, who used many demonic secret techniques. However, this incantation could only temporarily suppress the demonic nature. It couldn't break the curse of the origin of plagues. Later on, this genius from the Xie clan got inspiration from somewhere and created the demonic pool in front of him. According to the research of that genius from the Xie clan, demonic beasts are mutated vicious beasts that have been infected with demonic qi. This is similar to the blood demon's origin of plagues. Therefore, he suggested using a large amount of demonic beast blood to dilute the origin of plagues. As long as the blood is diluted to a certain extent, the origin of plagues might disappear on its own. Yi Fei stroked his chin. He fell into deep thought. He felt that the genius from the Xie clan had a certain degree of feasibility. After all, the origin of plagues was passed down through the bloodline from generation to generation. However, no matter how strong the bloodline was, it would only become weaker and weaker as it passed down through generations. There were even rumors that in ancient times, every human race had the bloodline of a demonic god. However, as the human race's population grew, the bloodline continued to disperse. As a result, there were only a few humans with special bloodlines. Most of the human race had become ordinary people. From this point, Yi Fei felt that the genius from the Xie clan's idea was feasible. The only thing that worried him was that although the demonic pool had been built, not a single blood ancestor had been able to successfully dissolve the demonic nature. Later on, the blood ancestors continued to research and found that in order to use the demonic pool, the demonic blood in their body had to reach the limit. In other words, they had to condense a black lotus. Perhaps this way, they could completely dilute the origin of plagues. However, this was only the speculation of the blood ancestors. No blood ancestor had ever tried it. The strongest blood ancestor had only condensed an illusory black lotus in his blood. Then, before he died, he placed the black lotus in the demonic pool. This was so that future generations could continue to research it. Yi Fei was speechless about this. Using the demonic pool to dissolve the origin of plagues is only the speculation of the blood ancestors. No one has ever tried it before. I can't believe I become the first guinea pig. However, if I use the demonic pool to try it, I still have a chance to dissolve the black lotus in my body. If I don't try it, I won't even have this chance. He laughed bitterly. He was extremely unwilling to be a guinea pig and become a guinea pig for the blood ancestors. However, other than this method, he had no other ideas. Forget it. So be it. I have the 8-division heavenly dragon. Even if I fail in the end, I can suppress it in time. Yi Fei gritted his teeth. In the end, he decided to give it a try. He had a tough personality. Otherwise, when his Dantian was destroyed in Blackrock City, he wouldn't have sat under the waterfall for 3 years just to try to awaken the undying sword soul. Now, the demonic nature in his body had reached the point where he could turn into a demon at any time. It was a huge hidden danger to his cultivation. Even if there was a slim chance, he wouldn't give it up. However, he had already made up his mind. To be safe, Yi Fei asked Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle to retreat to the side. He also told the dragon turtle that if the situation went wrong and it discovered that he couldn't control the demonic nature, the dragon turtle had to take Xiao Qiao and run as far away as possible. This caused Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle to become worried and nervous. Haha, Xiao Qiao, don't worry. I'm just saying what if. Isn't there still a 10,000 chance that I can successfully dissolve the demonic nature? Yi Fei joked. Chapter 12:57. Fighting demons with demons. Yi Fei solemnly sat cross-legged on the black lotus in the demonic pool. Then he took a deep breath, steeled himself, and stopped suppressing the black lotus in his body. Boom! A tidal wave of demonic nature surged into Yi Fei's mind like a broken river. Yi Fei immediately felt distracting thoughts in his mind. It was as if countless enemies had appeared in front of him, giving him the urge to kill. Not good. The Black Lotus's demonic nature has become stronger. The source of the plague is indeed powerful. I hope this demonic pool is really effective. With a trace of apprehension, Yi Fei began to cut his arm and drip his blood into the demonic pool. As his blood that contained the demonic nature entered the demonic pool, the entire blood pool began to boil like boiling water. Boiling blood bubbles began to emerge from the demonic pool. From these bubbles, Yi Fei could feel waves of berserk demonic nature. It felt as if the entire demonic pool had come alive and the blood pool was churning. It was like the mouth of a wild beast, crazily devouring the demonic nature that surged out from Yi Fei's wound. At this time, Yi Fei could clearly feel the distracting thoughts in his mind rapidly disappearing. His eyes also regained their clarity. This demonic pool is really effective. It can really dispel the demonic nature in my body. Yi Fei was pleasantly surprised. He understood that there was no lack of evil geniuses among the blood ancestors. They were actually able to think of using demonic beast blood to dilute the demonic nature and finally dispel the source of the plague. This could be considered fighting demons with demons. Boom, boom, boom. Within Yi Fei's body, the Black Lotus seemed to have a mind of its own. It began to struggle angrily. Waves of demonic nature crazily surged out, wanting to take control of Yi Fei's body. It wanted to make Yi Fei completely fall into the demonic path and then leave the demonic pool. Yi Fei was in a good mood when he felt Black Lotus's reaction. So you're afraid of something too. Black Lotus, no matter what you are, I won't allow you to control me. Devil's Pool, suck it up. Yi Fei immediately activated all of his primordial spirit. The primordial energy in his body turned into shackles and entered his dantian, trapping the Black Lotus. The only thing that Yi Fei regretted was that the undying sword spirit was not interested in the Black Lotus. Otherwise, he would not have had to go through so much trouble. Under the suppression of the 8 primordial spirits, the Black Lotus finally calmed down completely. Even the entire Black Lotus gradually began to shrink as the demonic nature was drained away. However, in the eyes of Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle, what they saw was a demon god whose demonic nature soared to the heavens. Bit by bit, he was slowly being torn out of Yi Fei's body by the blood of the demonic beasts in the demonic pool. The demonic god had 3 heads and 6 arms. It was none other than the blood demon that had been suppressed in the ancient temple. However, Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle were shocked to see that the demonic god's appearance was exactly the same as Yi Fei's. My appearance, this demon god's curse, is truly strange. Could it be that the blood demon wants to turn me into another blood demon? Yi Fei also saw the demonic god being sucked out of his body by the devil's pool through his divine sense. He was very shocked. However, if he really did become the new blood demon, his demonic nature would erupt. Countless factions would come to kill him. The 4 sacred academies and the quasi-emperor clans would all make a move. That way, the blood demon would indirectly kill him and avenge him for blocking the heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, it was very likely that he would bring another calamity to the martial heaven continent. After realizing this, Yi Fei cursed the demon god for being despicable and cunning. The only thing he could do was to use all of his strength to slowly push the Black Lotus out of his body. During the entire process, the demon god Yi Fei, who was being pulled out of his body, constantly tried to resist. However, the suction force of the devil's pool was too strong. The devil's pool that Yi Fei was sitting in was like a huge magnet, crazily absorbing all the demonic nature. While Yi Fei was secretly happy, he was also secretly worried. I only have 1.5 days at most. After this time, the 3 blood ancestors will definitely realize that they have been tricked and will rush back. I have to dissolve the Black Lotus in my body before they do. Let's do it. Yifei hardened his heart and started to speed up the blood flow in his body. Drops of essence blood flowed like flowing water into the devil's pool. As the essence blood flowed out, Yifei's head started to feel dizzy. His primordial spirit also started to weaken. However, the weakest part was still the black lotus in his dantian. With Yifei's full suppression and the devil's pool crazily absorbing the demonic nature, the black lotus, no matter how strong and strange it was, started to shrink. Yifei had obviously underestimated the power of the devil's pool that the Shui clan had prepared. In just half a day, the black lotus in his dantian had completely disappeared. The huge demon god had also been completely pulled out of his body. The demon god roared furiously. It seemed to have an unparalleled hatred towards Yifei. Its 3 heads roared furiously, and its 6 arms waved together. It wanted to tear Yifei apart. The more furious the demon god was, the more aggrieved the blood devil was in death. Originally, the blood devil was being suppressed well in the ancient temple. He even relied on the long lifespan of a demon god to kill all the flesh Buddhas in the heavenly dragon treasure temple. He even successfully refined over 50 bone devils. If the blood devil had continued to accumulate like this, it would not have been a problem for him to escape and regain his demon god's power. The bad thing was that Yifei was unlucky. Of all the things he could bring in, he just had to bring in a heavenly tribulation that struck the blood devil into ashes. Even in death, the blood devil could not forget this hatred. That was why he used the last of his strength to inject demon blood into Yifei's body. However, the blood devil did not expect that the blood ancestor that he had created would secretly create a devil's pool that could break the curse behind his back. Not only did he not curse Yifei to death, he even let Yifei use the devil's pool that the Shui clan had painstakingly researched to quickly dissolve the demonic nature in his body. If the blood devil and the Shui clan's ancestors knew about this, they would probably die of anger again. The 3 blood ancestors who had rushed to the spiritual vein were even more furious when they saw the corpses all over the ground. Fortunately, the array outside the cave was still there. That brat should not have escaped yet. The 3 blood ancestors comforted each other in self-deception. Then, they immediately removed the layers of array and rushed in angrily. The 3 blood ancestors did not find Yifei inside. Inside the cave, the ground was a mess. Dirt was dug up everywhere, and not a single trace of spiritual chi could be found in the entire spirit vein. Puff! When the blood ancestor saw this scene, he was so angry that his vision turned black. He spat out a mouthful of demon blood on the ground. It was very eye-catching. Shui-yin, the sect leader of the blood demon sect, grabbed the blood ancestor's neck fiercely and roared, "Blood ancestor, look at what you have done. Why did you let that brat in to cultivate? Can't you find another place to trap him? Do you know how important this spiritual vein is to us? This is not a spiritual vein, it is our lifeline." The sect leader of the martial royal sect, who was a few hundred years old, was so angry that tears flowed out of his eyes when he saw the spiritual vein that had been dug out. He was really heartbroken. The number of spiritual veins that were still intact in the Dragon Head world could be counted with 2 hands. The 3 of them had also relied on this spiritual vein to break through to the middle stage of the martial royal realm. Usually, the 3 of them treated this spiritual vein as their own son and treasured it very much. However, when Yifei came in, he dug out the spiritual vein in one breath. How could the 3 blood ancestors not be angry and heartbroken? Chapter 1258. An unexpected discovery. He was the brains of the Blood Demon Church after all. Although Shuo-Wan was so angry that the blood all over his body was trembling, he quickly realized that they had fallen for Yifei's trick. The 3 blood ancestors were no longer trembling. Instead, the muscles on their faces were creaking in anger. Without another word, the 3 of them roared and cursed at the fastest speed they could muster in their lives. They rushed back to the blood demon sect like angry lions. However, even though the blood ancestors were fast, the demonic pool was even faster. After all, the demonic pool was the result of generations of blood ancestors' painstaking research. Their direction was correct, but they couldn't condense a black lotus in their bodies. Yifei had a black lotus, but he didn't have the correct direction. Now, both sides were learning from each other. Yifei didn't expect the demonic pool to dissolve the demonic aura so smoothly. After half a day, the black lotus in his body appeared outside his body and turned into a black lotus platform. Yifei sat cross-legged on the lotus platform. His expression was both excited and distressed. The blood ancestors' research is still too slow. This demonic pool can only dissolve the demonic aura of the black lotus, but can't dissolve the black lotus itself. This is troublesome. Yifei tried to leave the devil transformation pool and ignore the black lotus that he was sitting on. However, before he could get up, the black lotus that had turned into a lotus throne actually turned into a stream of black demonic blood and returned to his dantian. Xiao Chao looked at Yifei in amazement, as if she had discovered a huge secret. She immediately told the dragon turtle that Yifei wasn't human, but a black lotus that had turned into a spirit. The dragon turtle thought so too. When Yifei wasn't paying attention, it wanted to bite the black lotus and taste it. Get lost! Yifei naturally kicked the dragon turtle aside in anger. Then, he reluctantly returned to the demonic pool and prepared to refine it again. However, the demonic pool didn't react this time. Firstly, the source of the plague in his body had completely merged with the blood pool. The entire blood pool was now the source of the plague. Secondly, it seemed that a huge amount of spirit chi was needed to activate the degenerate pool. Yifei had already activated it once. If he wanted to activate it again, he would have to first inject a large amount of spiritual energy into the demonic pool. With so much spiritual energy, Yifei couldn't bear to throw in all the spiritual stones he had. He rubbed his chin and thought for a while, then said unwillingly, "It's impossible for the devil's pool to be destroyed after just one activation. There might be other mechanisms that I haven't figured out yet." Xiao Chao, help me sense where the spiritual energy fluctuations are the strongest. He suspected that the blood progenitors must have hidden a reserve of spiritual energy here that they could use to activate the devil transformation pool. Xiao Chao also nodded seriously. He opened his heaven and earth spiritual eye and observed the changes in the surrounding spiritual energy. Soon, Xiao Chao was surprised to find that something was wrong. He quickly gestured to Yifei. Yifei was also very surprised. "Xiao Chao, what did you say?" "There are a lot of people under the devilization pool. Are they gathering spiritual energy for the devilization pool?" Xiao Chao nodded vigorously, indicating that he wasn't joking. Xiao Chao was also shocked when he discovered this. Yifei's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He had been refining the demonic nature in the devil transformation pool, but he hadn't felt anything strange. If the people inside suddenly attacked him, wouldn't he be dead? That's not right. If there really were people under the devil transformation pool, shouldn't they have immediately attacked or warned me when they discovered me? Why didn't they attack me? Why did they let me activate the devil transformation pool? There's something strange about this devil transformation pool. Yifei felt that something was very wrong. He immediately sent out a palm strike in the direction Xiao Chao was pointing at. The huge palm of true essence quickly split the devil transformation pool apart, revealing a huge blood-colored stone slab at the bottom. Yifei's eyes widened. His powerful telekinesis caused the blood-colored stone slab to float up with a boom, revealing a long staircase underneath. There's another world inside the devil transformation pool. Yifei was very surprised. He was also shocked by the blood ancestors' cunning. Who would have thought that they would hide another passage inside the devil transformation pool? If Xiao Chao hadn't been sensitive to spiritual chi, he definitely wouldn't have discovered this secret passage. "Blackie, lead the way." Yifei ordered the dragon turtle. Since it dared to trick him, he had to teach it a lesson. The dragon turtle felt very wronged. It straightened its round body and was the first to roll in, accepting its fate. Yifei walked behind with Xiao Chao, vigilantly observing their surroundings. Xiao Chao suddenly became very agitated. She pointed ahead and babbled, telling Yifei that there were many people up ahead. Yi Fei couldn't help but quicken his steps. He quickly rushed to the end of the staircase. Then he saw an extremely shocking scene. At the end of the staircase was a huge palace. Inside the palace, there were stone pillars everywhere. Countless martial artists were tied to the pillars. There were martial sages and half-emperors among these martial artists. However, all of them looked haggard, and their faces were haggard. The cruelest thing was that their bodies were pierced through by special chains. Opening his eye of thunder punishment, Yi Fei could clearly see that these chains had actually pierced through the martial artist's primordial spirits and were constantly absorbing their power. Following the direction of these chains, Yi Fei saw that above the palace, there were many huge blood pillars that connected the entire Blood Demon Tower to the Devil Transformation Pool. Only now did Yi Fei realize that the Devil Transformation Pool had such a huge amount of spiritual qi and maintained the vitality of the demonic beast blood. It didn't rely on arrays or spirit stones, but on the primordial spirits of these martial artists. It's too cruel, too cruel. When Yi Fei saw how the Devil Transformation Pool was activated, he suddenly had the urge to vomit. Xiao Qiao was so frightened that she closed her eyes. She grabbed the dragon turtle's tail and ran back into the beastmark space. Yi Fei finally understood why the third dean had said those words when he had entered the dragon head realm. He had even repeatedly warned him not to be soft-hearted. It's not that the third dean is biased against evil spirits. It's just that most evil spirits are devoid of conscience. They deserve to die. They deserve to be killed. The blood progenitor's methods have crossed the bottom line of humanity. A cold light flashed in Yi Fei's eyes. He suddenly regretted activating the Devil Transformation Pool. Although he had successfully used the Devil Transformation Pool to remove the curse of the origin of plagues, at the same time, his success had been built on the pain of thousands of martial artists. However, the good thing is that I can still remedy this. I will never allow such a cruel thing to happen in front of me. Yi Fei's eyes were cold. He directly sent his divine consciousness into the ears of these martial artists. Who are you? Why are you imprisoned here? Most of the martial sages lifted their heads and looked at Yi Fei with incomparable numbness. Many of the half-step sovereigns only moved their lips when they heard Yi Fei's voice. They couldn't say a word. Only the half-step sovereign closest to the stone pillar was barely able to maintain his consciousness. When he saw that it wasn't the blood progenitor who had come in, but Yi Fei, that person's stupefied expression suddenly surged with hope. Save me. We are all blood slaves captured by the blood progenitor. The blood progenitor captured us here and controlled our primordial spirits. He used us as living spirit stones for his cultivation and activated the blood pool above. Chapter 1259. Bewildering Save Me. I'm from the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy. Save me. I'm from the Heavenly Book Sacred Academy. Divine Marshal. I'm from the Divine Marshal. Save. Hearing Yi Fei's spiritual sense, the scene fell silent for a while. Although most of the cultivators were still numb, there were still some strong cultivators who found a ray of light in the darkness. Their survival instincts made them quickly respond to Yi Fei's spiritual sense with difficulty. The cultivators' excited and weak voices could be heard everywhere. In the end, even the numb cultivators raised their heads with difficulty. A trace of hope appeared on their faces, but most of them were distressed. Yi Fei was also shocked when he heard these people respond to him. His heart was in turmoil. He originally thought that these people who were treated as living spirit stones were evil demons who opposed the Blood Demon sect. But he was wrong, very wrong. There were evil demons among them, as well as some disciples of the Blood Demon sect who had committed crimes. However, most of them were disciples of the true martial sacred academy, the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy, the Heavenly Book Sacred Academy, and even the strongest divine martial sacred academy. Some of their disciples have been captured and turned into blood slaves. They have become living spirit stones for the blood ancestors to activate the devil pool. Yi Fei quickly walked in front of a disciple who claimed to be from the true martial sacred courtyard and cut off the chains on his body. when Yi Fei was about to tear off the chains on his primordial spirit. The mournful scream of the true martial sacred courtyard made him hesitate again. Piercing the chain into the primordial spirit was no different from torturing a living person. If he pulled the chain out again, it would undoubtedly be torturing him. Yi Fei immediately hesitated, not knowing if he should continue. The disciple from the true martial sacred academy roared savagely. Continue, continue. I'm not afraid of pain. I'd rather die in pain than be treated as a living spirit stone and live a life worse than death. I'm worse than an animal. Hearing this, Yi Fei's heart trembled. Without hesitation, he pulled out the chain that pierced his soul. The disciple immediately screamed, his body twitching in pain, but he had a relieved smile on his face. Finally, I'm free. Benefactor, don't worry about me. Go and save them. I still have many junior brothers. He was in so much pain, but he was still thinking about his other fellow apprentices. This person could be considered a loyal and honest person. Yi Fei nodded secretly. After all, he was once from the real martial sacred academy. Thus, he decided on something. He suddenly took out a large number of spirit stones and handed them over. Benefactor, the disciple froze. He wanted Yi. He was already extremely grateful that Yi Fei had risked his life to save him. So how could he ask for spirit stones? Don't call me benefactor. Also, I'm from the true martial sacred academy too. Yi Fei threw down the spirit stones and hurried to save another person. Of course, he saved all the disciples from the true martial sacred academy first, then the heavenly Tao sacred academy, then the heavenly book sacred academy, then the ordinary demons, and the blood demon sect disciples who had made mistakes. Finally, he went to help the disciples from the divine martial sacred academy. Even so, the disciples of the divine martial sacred academy were so moved that they cried and kept thanking Yi Fei. Perhaps they were like the other disciples of the divine martial sacred academy, high and mighty, looking down on the disciples of the other academies. However, ever since they were reduced to blood thralls and lived a life that was neither human nor ghost, their edges and sharpness had been ground away. Junior brother Yi, I really have to thank you this time. If it wasn't for you, our lives would have been completely finished. By the way, my name is Gongji. I graduated from the class 178. Junior brother, which class are you from? Gongji walked over and introduced himself. Yi Fei didn't want to explain too much and didn't have time. He directly asked the question he was most concerned about. Senior brother Gongji, how did you become blood slaves? Gongji smiled bitterly, but he still quickly explained his story to Yi Fei. After listening to the explanation, Yi Fei learned that the disciples of the Divine Martial Sacred Academy were divided into batches. Every batch of disciples cultivated in the Divine Martial Sacred Academy for 100 years. If they couldn't break through to the martial emperor realm within 100 years, apart from the Tian stage disciples, they could choose to stay in the academy and become teachers. The other disciples would be forced to graduate and enter the wider world of cultivation. In the end, most of these disciples would lose the confidence to break through to the martial emperor realm. They would be disheartened and go back to their hometown to get married and have children. Then, they would send their children to the Divine Martial Sacred Academy to continue their studies. However, there were also some arrogant senior disciples who were unwilling to spend their lives in this way. After graduation, they still dreamed of breaking through to the martial emperor realm and continuing to climb to the peak of martial arts. Gongji was one of them. He was once the best among the Tian stage disciples. Although he didn't have the strength, he still participated in the Tian stage assessment. After graduation, Gongji still dreamed of breaking through to the martial emperor realm. He invited several of his friends to train together in the world of cultivation and look for opportunities to break through to the martial emperor realm. However, Gongji was very unlucky. As soon as he entered the Dragon Head realm, he was besieged by evil demons. Several of his friends with him were all killed in battle. Because Gongji had a special low-level bloodline, he was captured by the Blood Ancestor and brought back to the Blood Demon sect. In this way, I became a living spiritual stone for the blood ancestor to cultivate. They treated us as blood slaves and forced us to absorb spiritual chi day and night. Then, they used our spiritual chi to improve their strength. Before I came in, there was a Tian stage disciple named Shui Yongxian. He was used as a material for cultivating evil arts by the blood ancestor. His demonic nature broke out, and he went crazy and died. Gong Ji continued. But after hearing his words, Yi Fei was so shocked that he almost jumped up. Chui Yongxian? How could it be Chui Yongxian? That guy was clearly alive and was a spy planted by the legalists in the Sacred Academy. How could he have died more than 10 years ago? Senior Brother Gong, are you sure that the person who died was really called Chui Yongxian? Yi Fei asked in a deep voice. Of course. When I was first captured, I was still conscious. Right. I also heard him beg for mercy before he died. He said that his name wasn't Chui Yongxian, but F.A. Yongxian. He was a member of the legalists. If the blood ancestor killed him, the legalists would definitely destroy the blood ancestor. But the blood ancestor didn't believe it at all. In fact, I didn't believe it either. Gong Ji shook his head and said, he only thought that Chui Yongxian was talking nonsense to save his life. Yi Fei knew that Chui Yongxian wasn't talking nonsense. His real name was F.A. Yongxian, and he was a spy of the legalists. This was what F.A. Yihai had told him personally. It couldn't be fake. There's a big problem with this Chui Yongxian. The real Chui Yongxian died long ago. Who is the Chui Yongxian from the real Martial Sacred Institute? What method did he use to fool the martial emperors of the Sacred Institute and gain the trust of the legalists to believe that he's F.A. Yongxian? Yi Fei's heart was heavy. He vaguely felt like he was involved in a huge whirlpool. Then, he asked Gong Ji a few more questions and finally confirmed that he wasn't lying. His heart was even heavier. At the same time, he solemnly warned him, Senior Brother Gong Ji, when you return to the real Martial Sacred Institute, don't mention Chui Yongxian again. Junior Brother Yi, in our current situation, can we still go back? I don't know how you sneaked in, but if you save us, you'll definitely anger the blood ancestor. The blood ancestor used us as spiritual stones. He is already cultivated to the middle stage of the martial emperor realm. You're definitely no match for him. Gong Ji smiled bitterly. He didn't care about Yi Fei's words. At the same time, a look of determination appeared on his face. He stood up and shouted loudly, everyone, regardless of whether we used to be friends or enemies, we'd rather die than become blood slaves. If you have the guts, rush out and fight the blood ancestor. Yes, fight. The blood ancestor is heartless. Even if we die, we'll take a bite out of him. Young Master Yi, we don't ask for anything else. We just want you to bring the news of our deaths back to our families and the four sacred institutes. Let the martial emperors and quasi-emperors of the four sacred institutes avenge us. The disciples of the four sacred institutes all knelt down and kowtowed to Yi Fei. Chapter 1260. Attack. The Blood Demon Tower resounded with the angry roars of hundreds of martial practitioners. This was only a small portion of the blood thralls. Before Yi Fei arrived, a large number of blood thralls had died tragically here. The demonic pool started cultivating 500 years ago. That's when the term blood thrall began to appear. As for Gong Ji and the others, they were all captured in the last 20 years or so. The most recent one to survive had been trapped here for more than 30 years, and he was the evil demon sect master of a small sect that had been destroyed by the Blood Demon Church. From this, it could be seen how many warriors have been reduced to blood slaves and turned into dried bones behind the glory of the demonic pool. The demonic transformation pool that I opened was built on the corpses of tens of thousands of ancient martial art practitioners. They did not die because of me, but I used the demonic transformation pool to dissolve the demonic nature in my body. I cannot help the dead ancient martial art practitioners, but I must let the living ancient martial art practitioners leave the Blood Demon Church and change the fate of their blood slaves. He didn't do this out of kindness, but because he didn't want to let himself down. Similarly, If he could protect the disciples of the 4 sacred courts and leave, it would be immensely beneficial to him. Thinking of this, Yi Fei no longer hesitated. He waved his hand and stopped everyone's clamor. His voice was very low but very firm. Everyone, don't worry. Although it was an accident that I saved you, since I have saved you, I will save you until the end. I will think of a way to send you out of the Blood Demon Church safely. As for whether you can escape from the Dragon Head realm, that's your own business. He could help, but he wouldn't protect them like a nanny. That would be too strenuous and stupid. Helping them leave the Blood Demon sect was already the limit of what he could do. After all, there wasn't much time left for him. Gao Chong, come in. Yi Fei spoke corpse language to Gao Chong through the Blood Demon Tower. This was a language that only corpse puppets could understand. It was effective within 1,000 miles. Hearing Yi Fei's order, Gao Chong walked into the Blood Demon Tower without hesitation and went to the 3rd floor. Blood Progenitor, please give me your orders. Blood Progenitor. Boom. Gong Ji and the others were all shocked. A few blood thralls from the Blood Demon sect also looked at Gao Chong with great astonishment. It's the Holy Sun. The Holy Sun is powerful. Back then, he was the one who brought people to turn us into blood slaves. He destroyed our sects and destroyed our families. Many evil demon blood slaves recognized Gao Chong, and their eyes turned red. However, because of Yi Fei's status as the Blood Ancestor, they didn't dare to act rashly. Yi Fei looked coldly at Gao Chong. You've captured blood thralls before? Gao Chong nodded coldly. Yes, only the Blood Progenitor's most trusted subordinates can carry out such a mission. If you capture 10 blood thralls, you can break free from the Blood Devil's curse. If you capture 100, you can become the Blood Progenitor's disciple. So you're saying that everyone in the Blood Demon sect who isn't cursed by the Blood Demon is one of the Blood Ancestor's trusted aides, and they've all committed such heinous crimes? Yi Fei's gaze was somewhat cold. Yes, Gao Chong's gaze was even colder. Very good. Go out immediately and think of a way to gather these people. Also, tell the 10 half-emperors guarding outside to come in. I have something to say. A cold light flashed through Yi Fei's eyes. He waved his hand and had Gao Chong retreat. The surrounding blood thralls were completely silent. They looked at Yi Fei with fear and doubt in their eyes. However, there was still hope. The smart ones could tell that Yi Fei didn't just sneak into the Blood Demon sect. Junior brother Yi, Gong Ji watched Gao Chong leave and finally couldn't help but speak up. Yi Fei interrupted him and swept his gaze over everyone present. I know that you're all very confused. If you trust me, then don't ask anything. I promise that I'll let you leave this place alive. The disciples of the 4 sacred courts fell silent. However, the demons' faces were filled with hope. They shouted together, Young Master Yi, we trust you. We won't ask anything. As long as you let us live like humans, we're willing to pay any price. I don't want you to pay any price. I just want you to make me a promise. Yi Fei looked coldly at these demons. To be honest, if it weren't for the Blood Ancestor's cruel methods and the fact that he had coincidentally used the demonic pool and encountered this karma, he definitely wouldn't have gotten involved in this matter under normal circumstances. Remember, I save your lives. I don't expect you to become good people. I only hope that in the future, the people you kill are people who deserve to be killed. The evil Tao is also a Tao. As long as you have a clear conscience you can continue walking down this path. Yi Fei's words caused the demons to fall into a collective silence. Then, someone knelt down and loudly swore, followed by a second and a third. After experiencing such a tragic experience, even the most ruthless of people would be greatly moved. We also swear. Seeing Yi Fei's gaze turn to them, the disciples of the 4 sacred courts also prepared to swear. Compared to vows, I believe in actions more. I don't want vows. I only want you to return to the sacred courts and tell the truth. Tell the deans of the 4 sacred courts that I saved you. Then tell them one thing. What is it? Gong Ji asked. If others don't offend me, I won't offend them. If anyone offends me, I will definitely kill them. When they walked into the Blood Demon Tower, the expressions of the 10 half-emperors changed instantly. Originally, only the blood ancestor could enter the blood demon tower, but now there were hundreds of cultivators in ragged clothes. Many of them had very weak auras, but there were still some half-emperors who recognized them at a glance. How dare you? How did you blood slaves escape? Fourth blood ancestor, what is the meaning of this? Without the orders of the 3 blood ancestors, not only did you barge into the blood demon tower, but you also released all the blood slaves. Sensing that the situation was not right, a few half-emperors immediately turned around and wanted to run out of the blood demon tower to tell the 3 blood ancestors about Yi Fei's actions and the escape of the blood slaves. However, just as they turned around, Gao Chong, who had followed closely behind them, raised his fist and suddenly smashed the head of a half-emperor. Attack! There was no need for Yi Fei to say anything. The crowd, who had accumulated endless resentment, madly rushed forward and drowned the half-emperors in an instant. Yi Fei did not attack. He just stood there and released a huge amount of demonic power. This demonic power belonged to the Black Lotus. The demonic pool had only dissolved the source of the plague, but it could not dissolve the demonic blood of the demon god. This demonic blood was still in Yi Fei's body, forming a terrifying demonic power. Yi Fei felt that this trip to the blood demon sect was a failure because he did not find a way to dissolve the Black Lotus. However, he also felt that he had succeeded because he had unexpectedly found a way to reconcile with the 4 sacred courtyards. As long as I take these people out and let them return to the 4 sacred courtyards, I don't believe that the 4 sacred courtyards will have the face to hunt me down. Of course, if there are really people who are shameless, then don't blame me for killing them. A cold light flashed in Yi Fei's eyes. Chapter 1261. Exterminate your sect. Exterminating 10 half-step emperors wasn't enough to quell their anger. Over 10 years of living a life worse than death had accumulated too much anger in their hearts. Shouts of extermination and extermination of the blood demon sect rose and fell one after another. However, Yi Fei knew that they were just lucky. If he hadn't used the devilish power of the Black Lotus to intimidate these half-step emperors, they wouldn't even have been able to kill the most common first-level martial saint blood demon sect disciples, let alone kill them. Senior apprentice brother Gong Ji, calm down. You've been tortured for so many years, and you're already at the end of your rope. If you fight recklessly now, you'll just be courting death. Revenge is a dish best served cold. I'll first cover you as you leave the blood demon sect. Once you've escaped from a sea of suffering and recovered your strength, it won't be too late to talk about revenge. Yi Fei's words were very sincere. His words calmed the excited crowd down again. Gong Ji smiled bitterly. Junior apprentice brother Yi, we're indeed too emotional. However, there's so many disciples of the blood demon sect. How are we going to get out? It's very simple. I'll use the identity of the blood ancestor to summon all the disciples and protectors of the blood demon sect to the blood demon tower. Then we'll stop them. At that time, the blood demon sect's defenses will be empty. With so many of you, you can definitely rush out in one go. Yi Fei said calmly. His words made the expressions of Gong Ji and the others change. Junior apprentice brother Yi, if you don't come with us, you'll have to block all the disciples of the blood demon sect by yourself. No, that's too dangerous. You'll be surrounded by the entire blood demon sect. Junior apprentice brother Yi, why can't you lead us out? Some disciples of the true martial sacred institution were very confused. I can lead you out, but in the end, many of you will die on the way out. Only if I block all the disciples of the blood demon sect by myself can you safely escape. Of course, I'm also doing this for my own selfish reasons. Yi Fei looked at the crowd calmly. The 3 sacred institutions have some misunderstandings about me. I'm taking the risk to save you because I want the 4 sacred institutions to see my attitude. The sacred institutions have betrayed me, but I won't betray them. Now hurry up and leave. Boom! Gong Ji took a deep breath and said, Junior brother Yi, we'll bring these words back to the academy. Also, no matter what, you're our junior brother. From now on, our lives are yours. With Gong Ji taking the lead, all the disciples of the true martial sacred courtyard bowed deeply to Yi Fei. Brother Yi, don't worry. We swear that no matter what misunderstanding you have with the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy, we will definitely tell the various teachers and headmaster about what happened today. The disciples of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy also bowed deeply to Yi Fei. We are willing to return to the Heavenly Book Sacred Academy and do our best to help Yi Fei clarify the misunderstanding. Brother Yi, we won't thank you for saving our lives. We will wait for your return. The disciples of the Heavenly Book Sacred Academy also bowed deeply to Yi Fei. Only the disciples of the Divine Martial Sacred Academy had complicated expressions, but when they thought about how Yi Fei had taken such a huge risk to save them, and how he was going to face the entire Blood Demon sect alone, they couldn't help but show respect. Brother Yi is a true gentleman. You're righteous and willing to risk your life. Since ancient times, people with lofty ideals are nothing more than this. We're willing to do our best to resolve the misunderstanding between Brother Yi and our academy. And us too. Lord Yi is righteous and unparalleled. We swear that in the future, if we kill someone indiscriminately, we'll die a horrible death. The other demons swore again and bowed to Yi Fei. Then, everyone quickly left the range of the Blood Demon Tower and hid carefully, waiting for the moment when the Blood Demon sect's defenses were the weakest. Yi Fei looked at their backs indifferently. He didn't care if they were truly grateful or not. He had saved them just to express his attitude to the four sacred institutions. You better not force me. Clang! A loud bell rang in the Blood Demon sect, and Gao Chang's cold voice rang out. All disciples, protectors, and elders come to the Blood Demon Tower immediately and pay respects to the fourth blood ancestor. If you don't come within 30 breaths, you'll be killed without mercy. The fourth blood ancestor? Is that true? How dare you? How dare you give us orders without the orders of the three blood ancestors? Let's go. Let's go and see how the new blood ancestor looks. Let's see if his hair is fully grown. The entire Blood Demon sect was shaken. The news of the fourth blood ancestor was too shocking, but no one dared to hesitate. After all, most of the disciples of the Blood Demon sect had the Blood Demon curse in their bodies, which meant that they couldn't disobey the blood ancestor's orders. The other confidants of the blood ancestor were very dissatisfied. They wanted to show Yi Fei who was in charge. The Saint Gao Chang had just secretly revealed to them that the fourth blood ancestor was going to put the curse on them again. This was related to their interests. The higher-ups of the Blood Demon sect, who were dissatisfied with Yi Fei, also rushed over angrily. They consciously gathered together and tried to intimidate Yi Fei with their great momentum. They didn't notice at all that when their gazes were all fixed on the Blood Demon Tower and Yi Fei, under Gong Ji's lead, a large group of blood slaves secretly rushed to the entrance of the Blood Demon sect's small world, taking advantage of the gaps in the Blood Demon sect's defense. They rushed out almost without any obstruction. At the same time, all the disciples, protectors, and elders of the Blood Demon sect gathered at the Blood Demon Tower. They saw a young man in a purple gold-black robe standing outside the Blood Demon Tower. Many of the elders' faces became even more unsightly. 8th level martial saint? Have the three blood ancestors lost their minds? How can such a person be promoted to the fourth blood ancestor? The one who spoke was a vice sect leader. In the Blood Demon sect, the three blood ancestors took turns to be the sect leader. The half-step emperors were all vice sect leaders. They were the absolute confidants of the three blood ancestors. Not only did they have a lot of power, but they also had the Blood Demon curse removed. Therefore, they weren't particularly afraid of Yi Fei, the new blood ancestor, especially when they saw that Yi Fei wasn't even a half-step emperor. These elders didn't even respect him on the surface. Fourth blood ancestor, why did you call us here? Also, without the three blood ancestors' orders, who allowed you to enter the Blood Demon Tower? This is a capital offense. Also, I heard that you won't let us have the Blood Demon curse again. Is this true? Boom. Another vice sect leader spoke. Following his voice, hundreds of blood demon sect protectors and elders stared at Yi Fei angrily. If it weren't for the fact that they didn't know the relationship between Yi Fei and the three blood ancestors, they would have attacked him. Gao Chong, who had retreated behind Yi Fei, immediately stared at this group of people with eyes full of death. How dare you? Whoever dares to question the decision of the fourth blood ancestor will die. Die. Gao Chong's words undoubtedly shocked the higher-ups of the blood demon sect. Then, they flew into a rage. Gao Chong, you are the disciple of the third blood ancestor and the holy son of our sect. Why are you siding with an outsider? Are you going to betray the three blood ancestors? Or are you going to betray the sect? Chapter 1262. One man annihilates a sect. What? Annihilate a sect? Isn't he the fourth blood ancestor? Why would he annihilate the blood demon sect? Boom! It was earth-shattering. Hearing Yi Fei's words, even the smartest vice hierarch felt like he was dreaming. Annihilating a sect all by himself? How arrogant and crazy was that? After recovering from their shock, the vice hierarchs laughed cruelly. They were worried that they wouldn't have a chance to take down the fourth blood ancestor, but Yi Fei had delivered the opportunity to them. More than 30 vice hierarchs exchanged glances, and a bad-tempered demon immediately rushed out. Kill. Traitors must die. I don't care if you're the blood ancestor or not. Xue Cheng, the adopted son of the second blood ancestor. His biggest hobby is to torture and kill the captives he captured. Gao Chong said coldly. Very well. This person's hands are stained with blood. He must be killed. Poof. Yi Fei raised his hand and pointed at Xue Cheng. A purple gold sword light pierced through Xue Cheng's head. The vice hierarchs who were laughing at him were terrified. However, before they could react, a loud bang echoed throughout the small world of the blood demon space. There were frightened shouts everywhere. Some people stumbled from afar. Something bad has happened. Some of the captives have escaped. They're shouting that they'd rather die than become blood slaves. The blood demon sect not only had disciples, but also servants. They were all blood slaves on the surface. They were treated poorly, but they could barely survive. They couldn't figure out why so many people would run out to rebel. Only the vice hierarchs knew how cruel real blood slaves were. At the same time, they were a secret of the blood demon sect that could never be exposed. They were usually carefully hidden in the blood demon tower. Only the vice hierarchs, who were absolutely loyal to the blood demon sect, knew about it. But now, all the blood slaves had escaped. At this critical moment, Yi Fei forcibly used his identity as the blood ancestor to gather everyone who could fight in the blood demon tower. At this time, the higher-ups of the blood demon sect didn't understand what was going on. Traitors! Traitors! Gao Chong, the fourth blood ancestor, you two traitors. They must have released the blood thrall. Hurry up and inform the three blood ancestors. Everyone else, move out and kill all the escaped captives. Let's see who dares. Yi Fei roared furiously. His voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with boundless demonic might. Like a hurricane, it engulfed every disciple and enforcer of the blood demon sect. You have two choices. I can remove the blood demon curse, and you can leave the blood demon sect. Of course, you can also choose to perish together with the blood demon sect. Traitor, you shameless traitor, don't listen to him. Everyone, attack together and kill this traitor. We can't let the news of the blood slave spread. The half-emperors of the blood demon sect were all furious. The matter of the blood slaves was an absolute secret. Once the news spread, the entire Dragon Head realm would be shocked. The wrath of the four great sacred institutes would definitely destroy every single one of them. These half-martial emperors hated Yi Fei to the bone. Almost as soon as Yi Fei's voice fell, all the half-emperors present rushed over, wanting to kill Yi Fei instantly. A large group of blood demon sect disciples and enforcers also turned and ran, wanting to chase after the blood slaves who had escaped. In response, Yi Fei also made two moves. He activated the Taiji domain and opened the purple golden Taiji. The bright Taiji domain immediately blocked all the attacks of these half-emperors. Invincible and invincible? How is this possible? The faces of the half-martial emperors were filled with great terror. They had initially thought that Yi Fei would be easy to deal with, as he was only an 8th-layer martial sacred realm cultivator. However, it seemed like they had stumbled into an iron plate. Many Blood Demon sect disciples who were ready to make a move were so shocked that they forgot to move. Only a small number of loyal people still wanted to leave the Blood Demon Tower and chase after the blood slaves who had escaped. However, a mouthful of dragon flames turned these people into ashes. Then, a huge tortoise that kept burping appeared. Its limbs could not reach the ground, but still blocked all the evil devils who tried to leave the Blood Demon Tower. Many evil devils suddenly realized that although this tortoise was so fat that it could not even stand, once this tortoise that was bigger than a mountain rolled, its destructive power would definitely be extremely terrifying. Rumble. The dragon tortoise only rolled once in the empty space of the Blood Demon Tower. Hundreds of enforcers of the Blood Demon sect died under the huge tortoise mountain. Some of you go and kill that dragon tortoise. A vice sect leader roared furiously. He suddenly gave up on attacking Yi Fei and wanted to kill the dragon tortoise. Kill! Yi Fei immediately fixed his eyes on that person. A purple golden fist light, like a star, smashed that vice sect leader into meat paste. However, Yi Fei's actions also gave the other vice sect leaders chance. They looked at each other and launched their strongest attacks again. They charged at Yi Fei from all directions, charging endlessly at him. Kill him, and we can control that dragon tortoise. Many vice sect leaders' eyes were filled with madness. Do you think that it's useful to have more people? Today, I said that I will destroy your sect, and I will definitely do it. I will cleanse your sins with Taiji. Yi Fei held the spirit-devouring sword tightly. Suddenly, he slashed out a torrential sword river in front of him. The sword river then turned into a huge Taiji sword diagram. It filled the entire sky and mercilessly crushed down on the many half-emperors below. At this moment, Yi Fei was like a god, but also like a demon. Wherever the Taiji reached, it would kill. The half-emperors were killed mercilessly by the Taiji sword diagram with fear and indignation. There were also a few half-emperors who had ultimacies. They activated their ultimacies and madly burned their blood essence to escape in all directions. He is too strong. Let's go find the blood ancestors. As long as the 3 blood ancestors come, he will be dead. The blood ancestors will kill him. Roar. Before the half-emperor could finish his words, the entire sky was suddenly filled with the majestic roar of a dragon. The 8 notes of the heavenly dragon resounded through the sky. Even the dragon tortoise, which was rolling on the ground, could not help but stop when it heard the roar. Yi Fei used his powerful Buddhist telekinesis to simulate the first 8 notes of the 8 notes of the heavenly dragon. Instantly, the dozen half-emperors who had escaped were unable to move. At this moment, he struck out with his sword again. The Taiji in the sky disappeared and was replaced by the 8 notes of the void. In the void, sword fire spewed out like 8 volcanoes erupting. Void sword fire. Boom! The entire Blood Devil world was collapsing. The boundless sword fire ignited the space and continuously stabbed the last dozen vice sect leaders. Only a pile of char bodies were left. With the Taiji domain, the heavenly dragon golden body, and his cultivation of the 8th-layer martial sacred realm, Yi Fei was confident that he could fight against a mid-martial dominator realm opponent. How could a bunch of half-martial dominators escape from him? This is the last chance. Give up or perish together with the Blood Demon sect. In the sky full of sword fire, Yi Fei was like a demon god. The boundless demon might intimidated the many disciples of the Blood Demon sect below. He did not kill indiscriminately. He knew that many of them had been cursed by the Blood Devil and had no choice but to join the Blood Demon sect. These people were fundamentally different from the higher-ups of the Blood Demon sect. Chapter 1263. Power of Merit. The three cunning vice sect masters tried to hide in the crowd and escape, but they were discovered by Gao Chong and killed. At this point, the upper echelons of the Blood Demon sect were all wiped out. Many of the Blood Demon sect protectors and elders who were still resisting were terrified. Before the three blood ancestors returned, they wisely chose to surrender. Fourth blood ancestor, we are willing to surrender. We are willing to serve you as our master. Gao Chong said coldly, if you surrender now, you will be the first to rebel when the three blood ancestors return. Today, I will kill you all on behalf of the blood ancestors. Gao Chong, you traitor. The three blood ancestors will return soon. When they return, none of you will live. Fight them to the death and wait for the three blood ancestors to return. The protectors and elders who had just surrendered all jumped up with a ferocious look on their faces. Yi Fei didn't attack again. Gao Chong was him. Gao Chong's every move was actually his will. This was the most peculiar thing about corpse puppets. In ancient times, the corpse puppet army of the Hall of Life and Death was the most terrifying existence. For the experts of the Hall of Life and Death who had mastered the corpse puppet technique, they could destroy the entire Dragon Head realm with a single thought as long as they had enough corpse puppets, let alone a sect. Yi Fei felt that the Hall of Life and Death was a bit like a necromancer. Of course, he didn't want to use this kind of sorcery unless it was absolutely necessary. Then, he walked towards the Blood Demon sect, disciples who hadn't attacked or run away. They were all ordinary disciples, servants, or small leaders. Whether they were killed or not didn't matter much. Yi Fei didn't have any prejudice against evil spirits. Of course, he wouldn't be like those self-proclaimed righteous people who killed evil spirits on sight. Instead, he took out a large amount of Blood Demon pills stored in the Blood Demon Tower and threw them to them. The Blood Demon pills could remove the Blood Demon curse in their bodies. It was developed by the blood ancestors of the past to control their subordinates. After taking the Blood Demon pill, a small number of people were still at a loss. However, most of the disciples who didn't approve of the Blood Demon sect quickly scattered like birds and beasts. Yi Fei no longer paid any attention to these people, nor did he watch Gao Chong fight the demons. He stood on the back of the dragon tortoise and had it soar into the air. He aimed at the entire Blood Demon sect and spewed out endless draconic flames. The entire Blood Demon sect instantly turned into a terrifying sea of fire. Finally, with a loud bang, the entire Blood Demon space began to collapse in the flames. Heavens! Fourth blood ancestor, you'll die a horrible death. You actually single-handedly destroyed the Blood Demon sect. Hold on a little longer. The three blood ancestors have already received the news and are on their way back. Once the three blood ancestors return, all the traitors will die. The Blood Demon sect have been established for tens of thousands of years. There have been ups and downs, so there were still some loyal people. As for these people, Yi Fei only had one word for them: kill. Only by completely destroying this place can I wash away their sins. This way, I can use the demonic pool to dissolve the demonic nature and be at ease. Roar! Just as Yi Fei was feeling at ease, the 8th-division heavenly dragon suddenly appeared behind him. At the same time, a mysterious force descended from the sky and merged with the 8th-division heavenly dragon. Yi Fei immediately felt his 8th-division heavenly dragon's golden body faintly strengthen. It was as if his golden body had been upgraded out of thin air. What's going on? I didn't cultivate. How did my golden body break through? Yi Fei had a strange expression on his face. Suddenly, he thought of a word in his mind: merit. Martial artists used martial arts to attain their Tao, but Buddhists used merit to attain their Tao. Could it be that my act of destroying the Blood Demon sect unintentionally obtained merit, and the power that descended just now was the power of merit? Yi Fei's expression became strange. However, before he could carefully sense the power of merit, the 8th-division heavenly dragon had already disappeared. He simply didn't have the chance to sense the power of merit clearly. Then, 3 extremely furious roars came from outside like a hurricane and entered Yi Fei's ears. After all, the spirit vein was only a day or two away from the blood demon sect. Although Yi Fei had lured the three blood ancestors away, the blood ancestors would still be able to react and rush back to the blood demon sect as quickly as possible. This was also the reason why Yi Fei hadn't been willing to leave with Gong Ji and the others. If he left with them, the three blood ancestors would quickly catch up with him and kill him. This would definitely cause heavy casualties among the disciples of the four sacred courtyards, which would affect his reconciliation with the four sacred courtyards. Therefore, he could only stay and destroy the blood demon sect first, then block the pursuit of the three blood ancestors. This way, Gong Ji and the others would be able to escape unscathed from the Dragon Head realm and make the four sacred courtyards owe him a huge favor. The only thing that Yi Fei hadn't expected was that his risky move had not only earned him a favor, but he had also unexpectedly obtained the power of merit, which had allowed his golden body to improve slightly. Perhaps this is what they mean by good people have good karma. I wonder how powerful my upgraded golden body will be. Will it be able to threaten the three blood ancestors? Hearing the roars from afar, Yi Fei's body burned with the flames of battle. He also let out a long roar. He was provoking the three blood ancestors at the same time. He's crazy. He wants to destroy the sect alone and face the three martial emperors and blood ancestors alone. The fleeing disciples of the blood demon sect were all terrified when they heard Yi Fei's roar. An indelible shadow of Yi Fei was also left in their minds. The three blood ancestors were still one step too late. Under the dragon flames of the dragon turtle, the entire blood demon sect's small world had been completely destroyed. Those who resisted were all killed. All that was left was a pile of rubble and the low-level disciples of the blood demon sect who were running for their lives in all directions. When Xue Sha saw this scene, his eyes widened and blood splattered 5 meters away. He was so angry that he went crazy. Yi Fei, it's not enough that you destroyed my spirit vein. You even destroyed my blood demon sect. I hate you. I should have fought you to the death 3 days ago under the spirit vein. Scourge, you're the god of plague. You're not even human. My Xue family's 10,000 years of foundation was destroyed in a day. Shui Yin's tears flowed down his face as he roared at the sky. Kill him. Kill all these traitors. All disciples, listen to my orders. Turn around and put out the fire. Kill whoever dares to escape. Xuan was so angry that he went crazy. He prided himself on being resourceful, but in the end, he was fooled by Yi Fei. Xuan was filled with hatred. With hatred in their hearts, the three blood ancestors roared crazily. They kept gathering the fleeing disciples of the blood demon sect to return to their side. However, no one listened to them. The people who were extremely afraid of Yi Fei ran even faster when they saw the blood ancestors return. They were afraid that they would be controlled by the blood demon curse again. This scene made the three blood ancestors so angry that their eyes turned green. They roared together ferociously. The sect can be rebuilt if it's destroyed, but we can't tolerate any traitors. All of you die. The three blood ancestors activated the blood demon curse at the same time. A terrifying demonic aura shrouded the surroundings. They wanted to kill all the fleeing disciples with the curse. Chapter 1264. Dragon swallows the sun. They didn't believe Yi Fei's words at all. The three blood ancestors' eyes turned red as they unleashed all of their demonic aura. Then, something that made them extremely furious happened. Their demonic aura didn't affect the fleeing blood demon sect disciples. In the blink of an eye, everyone, including many of the demonic beasts in captivity, was nowhere to be seen. Puff! As the sect master of the blood demon sect, Shuayin watched with his own eyes as the great sect was torn apart. Some died and some fled. He suddenly burst into tears. Sinners, ancestors, we are all sinners. We shouldn't have led the wolf into our house. We shouldn't have strayed onto a pirate ship. Black smoke rose from the top of Luan Shue's head as he shouted, "Big brother, you're wrong. We didn't stray into a pirate ship, but a pirate boarded the ship. This brat, from the very beginning, had no good intentions. He wasn't Blood Demon's servant, but his enemy, and he's our biggest enemy. Kill him. Whether he's a servant or an enemy, he's dead. He deserves to die. What kind of blood feud does our Shuezu have with you? Not only did you destroy my spiritual vein, you even exterminated my sect. Shueisha went crazy on the spot. His twisted face was filled with great anger and ferociousness. Then, the three blood ancestors roared like blood pythons and attacked at the same time. Shueisha attacked with a blood-red giant python. The giant python had wings, dragon horns, and spat out blood-red light. The demonic nature of blood erupted. His body twisted, and he was no longer human. Instead, he was a flickering ball of blood. The ball of blood spun crazily, releasing countless blood arrows that drowned out the world. Evil thief, with my blood, I summon the demon god of heaven and earth. Kill this demon. Shuelwan was a scholar who disdained close combat. Instead, he was good at setting up formations and summoning demons and gods. Then his blood stained the void. Suddenly, a blood-red vortex appeared in the void and quickly connected to a mysterious world. Boom! The world opened up, and a thick and sturdy leg stepped out of the world mercilessly, causing the void to crumble continuously. After that, a tall demon god with the head of a bull and the body of a demon appeared. Boundless blood sea. Shuein felt that this wasn't enough. He sat cross-legged in the blood ball and formed a crazy demonic seal with his hands. He pointed at a certain ruin in the blood demon sect, and the pile of trash exploded. The surging blood formed a flood that quickly drowned the entire area, turning it into a terrifying pool of blood. Blood Python transforming into a dragon. One of the blood hangman's eyes was black, while the other was red. The blood all over his body split into 4 lofty dragon pythons at this moment. They spat out demonic sounds and strangled Yi Fei. The 3 blood ancestors surrounded Yi Fei, not giving Yi Fei the slightest chance to retaliate. Seeing this, Yi Fei sucked in a deep breath of cold air. How great was the enmity between the 3 of them. They were actually going all out as soon as they met. However, I won't be afraid. So what if you're the 3 blood ancestors? I'm going to fight you. If I can capture one of them, I might be able to find a way to completely dissolve the Black Lotus. Yi Fei's eyes flashed coldly. This was the reason why he was willing to take the risk and stop the 3 blood ancestors by himself. Purple gold Taiji. Boom! Before the attacks of the 3 blood ancestors arrived, Yi Fei roared loudly. The Taiji domain formed a perfect Taiji circle to protect him. At the same time, Yi Fei's body moved. While resisting the attacks of the Blood Hangman and Shuein, he fiercely activated the 100 miles in an instant. Under the shocked gazes of the Blood Hangman and Shuein, he actually ignored all their attacks and directly rushed to the front of the demon god with the head of a bull. The dazzling sword light, along with the mysterious Taiji sword diagram, slashed the body of the demon god with a loud bang. Moo! The demon god roared furiously. It was a terrifying, demonic sound that was enough to make anyone who heard it go crazy in an instant. However, when he heard this sound, Yi Fei suddenly roared as well. Roar! The 8 voices of the heavenly dragon resounded through the heavens and the earth. 8 kinds of dragon roars that were born in the heavens and the earth shattered the tumbling blood pool and injured Shuelwan, who was casting the spell. Taking advantage of the moment when the body of the demon god with the head of a bull had not completely condensed, Yi Fei viciously slashed the body of the demon god with the Taiji 2-formed sword. Subconsciously, the demon god plucked off the 2 horns on its head and turned them into 2 full moon scimitars. It slashed furiously at the demon god. However, the Taiji Yin-Yang sword suddenly separated in front of the demon god and merged in its chest. With a boom, the sword exploded. The whistling sword chi instantly tore the demon god in a flowing light all over the sky. The collapsed void began to stabilize. After all, the demon god in front of them was only formed by Shuelwan's genuine vitality. It was only a mid-stage martial emperor at most. However, Yi Fei's strength as an ancient 8th-level martial sage was enough to kill this demon god. Wow, you destroyed my demon god. I'll fight you to the death. Shuel Wan was no longer reserved. His anger made him abandon his scholarly temperament. Instead, he attacked Yi Fei like a worldly hooligan. Boom! The void exploded and a vast sea of blood appeared. Shuel Wan was a mid-stage martial emperor after all. He had integrated the formation into his punches and kicks. His punches and kicks were actually setting up a formation. Killing formations gradually took shape in his punches and kicks. He was going to destroy Yi Fei's body. Seeing this, Yi Fei sneered. The whistling death chi gathered in his fists. He activated the life and death fist. Billowing demonic chi burst out from Yi Fei's body. The life and death fist turned into a real demonic fist and broke the killing formations. Every time he broke a killing formation, Shuel Wan's face turned paler. Bam! Finally, when the last killing formation was broken by Yi Fei's punch, Shuel Wan's originally frightened face flashed with a sinister smile. You've been tricked! Demon Saint, prepare to die! Shuel Wan and Shui Yin roared in unison. Their blood chi merged and their attacks overlapped. It was far beyond the limits of a mid-stage martial emperor. The purple gold taiji finally couldn't withstand it and exploded. It's done. Shuel Wan was overjoyed. Shuel Wan and Shui Yin also felt proud. It would be a joke if the three of them, martial emperors, couldn't kill an 8th realm martial saint junior. However, the joke was right in front of them. Roar! 8 voices of the heavenly dragon. 8 tribes heavenly dragon. After the taiji shattered, the golden body of the Buddha appeared immediately. 8 heavenly dragons were summoned from a void. They coiled around Yi Fei in 8 different directions. The dragons opened their mouths and spat out Buddhist light like a golden sun. Under the illumination of the Buddhist light, the blood pool in the surroundings and the towering dragon pythons that were churning about quickly dissipated like snow. Shuel Wan and Shui Yin, who were attacking Yi Fei's golden body, screamed in agony. Their demonic chi only touched the Buddhist light of the heavenly dragon, but their fists were burned. Heavenly Dragon Treasured Temple. He's the bald donkey from the Heavenly Dragon Treasured Temple. Shuel Wan was also panicking. The 3 blood ancestors cultivated the Blood Devil arts, and the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon happened to be the Blood Devil's biggest nemesis. Yi Fei was also shocked by the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon's transformation. In the past, the Heavenly Dragon could only emit the 8 notes of the Heavenly Dragon, spit out Buddhist light, and form a sun. Even Yi Fei didn't expect this transformation. Chapter 1265. Blood Ancestor Fusion. Yi Fei was overjoyed to see the 3 blood ancestors in such a sorry state. However, when he heard them call him bald donkeys, Yi Fei was enraged. You are the bald donkeys. No, you are not bald. You are donkeys. Yi Fei was very unhappy. He was a kind and upright young man. How could he become a monk when it was time to start a family? You 3 blind things. Watch me burn you to death. Buddha's light illumination. Yi Fei thought back to the 108 flesh Buddhas in hell, all releasing Buddhist light at the same time. Although he couldn't do that, he had 8 heavenly dragons, so he should be able to do it. Yi Fei stopped using other martial arts. The 8 primordial spirits in his body merged with the 8 heavenly dragons. With the nourishment of the primordial spirits, the 8 heavenly dragons went berserk. They roared at the same time, using the heavenly dragon's 8 notes to intimidate all evil in the world. At the same time, the dragons opened their mouths and released Buddha's light. They were like 8 blazing suns hanging in the sky. The blood pool that filled the sky turned into green smoke. Countless vengeful spirits were released from the blood pool. They were baptized and flew into the mysterious void, into the legendary netherworld. My blood pool. Our blood ancestor worked hard to refine this blood pool for tens of thousands of years. Shui Yin began to wail again. His cries were scarier than a malicious spirit's and more terrifying than a ferocious beast's. Following his cries, a demonic cloud slowly appeared in the void, blocking the golden sun and devouring the Buddhist light. The Buddha is 1 foot tall. The demonic path is 10 feet tall. Yi Fei, don't think that you are invincible just because you obtain the inheritance of those bald donkeys. Sooner or later, the blood devil will appear and tear you to pieces. Shuel Wan's face was full of hatred and his eyes were full of resentment. Beside him, Shueisha had gone completely crazy. He suddenly opened his mouth and let out a ghostly howl. Shueisha, Shuel Wan, the heavenly dragon, is the greatest nemesis of the blood devil. It will be difficult for us to kill this kid alone. Let's combine. Blood Ancestor is 1. We are invincible. Blood Ancestor is 1. We are invincible. Shuel Wan shouted. When the Blood Ancestor is united, he is invincible. Shui roared sinisterly. Then, their bodies exploded at the same time, ruthlessly and decisively abandoning their bodies. Only the 2 scarlet blood pythons stared at Yi Fei with resentment and hatred in their eyes. Offending our blood progenitor is your biggest mistake. Cut the crap. Fuse and help me become a true demon. Blood Hangman's eyes were filled with ferocity. He grabbed the 2 blood pythons and swallowed them savagely. Roar! Shueisha, Shui and Shuel Wan roared in both pain and pleasure at the same time. In the end, their roars merged into a complete voice. Shueisha. From now on, the 3 of us, as the true devils of the world, will kill everyone in front of us. Roar. 2 more roars came from Shueisha's body, causing his body to rapidly expand into a 5-meter-tall black demon. At the same time, the heads of Shui and Shuel Wan emerged from his shoulders in an eerie manner. Rumble. There was another whistling sound of blood surging. The Blood Hangman and the other 2 let out a painful roar together. Immediately after, 4 bloody arms emerged from the Blood Hangman's demonic body like blood pythons. Their appearance was actually 70% similar to the original blood demon that Yi Fei saw. Fusion. The 3 blood ancestors can actually fuse together. A drop of cold sweat suddenly rolled down Yi Fei's forehead. Hanyu hadn't told him about this. He even suspected that even the higher-ups of the blood demon sect didn't know that the blood ancestor had such a trump card, as expected of the evil demons. Even when the 3 of them worked together, I could only fight them to a draw. Now that the 3 of them have combined, I am no longer their match. I better leave quickly. Narrowing his eyes, Yi Fei sensed that the fused blood ancestor had reached the late stage of the martial emperor realm. Without another word, he turned around and left. In any case, he had already bought enough time. Kill. Yi Fei, don't even think about escaping. In front of the true demon, all living things can be killed. The Blood Hangman stopped roaring. His 3 heads stared at Yi Fei with hatred. Then, in the next moment, the demonic god moved. The 3 heads and 6 arms danced together. Before Yi Fei could turn around, he felt an aura of death enveloping him instantly. When he took a closer look, he saw that it was the blood ancestor's 6 black demonic fists, which were aimed at his head. Yi Fei didn't hesitate. The 8 heavenly dragons behind him flew together. The 8 suns in their mouths also turned into golden stars. They spat out the Buddha's light meteors and smashed toward the blood ancestor's body. However, the 3 blood ancestors laughed strangely. Their 6 arms suddenly became longer and softer, avoiding the Buddha's light. With a boom, the purple gold Tai Chi was smashed again. In the face of the Buddha's light meteors, the 3 blood ancestors sneered and spat out a strange demonic sound. The amazing thing was that Yi Fei actually understood the demonic sound. It was the blood demon realm. Boom! A black vortex appeared in front of the blood ancestor, forming 12 black demonic sabers. Wherever they passed, the sky was destroyed and the Buddha's light was swallowed by the demonic chi. Then, another 12 terrifying demonic sabers slashed toward the 8 heavenly dragons. 4 of the demonic sabers slashed toward Yi Fei. Oh no! 100 miles away in an instant. Battle demon golden body. Yi Fei was covered in cold sweat. He instantly retreated 100 miles away, finally escaping the range of the demonic sabers. Then he felt intense pain all over his body. When he was escaping from the demonic sabers, just now, the aura of one of the demonic sabers brushed past his chest. His entire chest was immediately torn open. Even the battle demon golden body couldn't block it. Fortunately, his reaction was fast enough, and his physical defense was strong enough. Otherwise, he would have been instantly dismembered by the 4 demonic sabers. I didn't expect that after merging with the Blood Ancestor, not only can his cultivation level increase, but he can also fuse into a realm. I was too careless this time. Yi Fei executed the force of the Undying Realm to rapidly heal his wounds. He was not discouraged by his defeat. He only felt that he had been unlucky. If he had enough time to improve his cultivation to the 9th layer Martial Sacred Realm or the 8th layer Divine Battle Dao, he was confident that he could protect himself even when facing a late-stage Martial Dominator. However, the time he had earned was only 3 days. This also meant that he would not be able to defeat the Blood Ancestor after merging with the Blood Ancestor. Consider yourself lucky. I'll come and kill you after I've achieved the 9th layer Martial Sacred Realm. Yi Fei wiped the blood off his lips and turned around to continue fleeing. The 3 Blood Ancestors burst out laughing. Their voices echoed in the sky. Run! Where can you run to? All life will end under the Blood Devil Realm. Yi Fei, you're done for. We're going to kill you and dig out the Black Lotus in your body. It can help us become the new demon gods. Kill, Xu Eshan said coldly. Kill. Xuan wore a hideous smile. Kill. Xuelwan's expression was twisted and filled with hatred. Chapter 1266. Please block the disaster. Yi Fei was depressed. In a one-on-one fight, he wasn't afraid of any of the Blood Ancestors. With the golden body suppressing the evil spirits, he might be able to kill a Blood Ancestor. However, these 3 Blood Ancestors were too shameless. They had joined forces to deal with him. Not only was the Blood Demon territory stronger than the Tai Chi domain, but it also destroyed the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon. Although Yi Fei could still reform his golden body, he didn't intend to do so. The Blood Demon territory formed by the 3 Blood Ancestors is too strong. Even if I form my golden body, I won't be a match for them. I can only use that thing now. Boom. While Yi Fei was deep in thought, the 3 demon gods that had fused with the Blood Ancestor had already rushed over with sinister smiles. The 6 demonic blades slashed at Yi Fei's body at the same time, as if they couldn't wait to cut Yi Fei into 6 pieces. Fight! Yi Fei didn't continue to run away. There was no point. The Blood Ancestor's demonic blade was too terrifying. If he ran, he would only die faster. If he resisted, he might be able to destroy the demonic blade and gain a chance to live. As for whether or not he could succeed, that was a gamble. Frost arrow, don't let me down. Whoosh! Yi Fei touched his space belt with his right hand, and a broken ice bow appeared in his hand. He touched his space belt with his left hand, and a huge frost arrow appeared on the bow. Then, he pulled the bow and knocked the arrow. A terrifying chill appeared in the air. Crack! 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 As the ice bow was drawn, Yi Fei's body was covered with frost. Even the fingers he used to draw the bow quickly turned blue and trembled. He had only pulled the bow halfway, but the surface of his body was already covered in frost. Obviously, the Emperor weapon, the frost arrow, was a double-edged sword. It could hurt the enemy and hurt the user. If only the ice bow hadn't been destroyed. That way, the ice bow would have been able to gather the frost arrows and wouldn't have harmed the person who fired the frost arrows. But now, the ice bow is close to being destroyed. Although it can still be drawn, it can no longer resist the two-way damage of the frost arrows. At this moment, rather than saying that Yi Fei was using the ice bow to draw the bow, it would be more accurate to say that he was using his own body to draw the bow. The more he drew the bow, the more the frost arrow emitted a frightening chill, and the greater the damage to his body. However, Yi Fei did not give up. He still persisted in drawing the bow. Draw the bow to the fullest, and shoot the strongest arrow. Kill. Boom. The moment his body was frozen into an ice sculpture, Yi Fei finally relied on his rock-solid willpower to successfully release the frost arrow. A whistling cold light shot forward like a river of ice. Heaven and earth froze, and everything within 1,000 miles turned into a terrifying glacier. The demon god, who was charging towards Yi Fei, was frozen by the frost arrow along with the blood demon territory, forming a tall ice mountain. Shui-yin, the sect leader of the blood demon sect, roared crazily from the ice mountain. Damn it, that's a complete frost arrow. Back then, I searched for 30 years and only managed to find half of the Emperor weapon. How dare he use it against me? It's only half of the Emperor weapon. It's already a miracle that he was able to draw the bow once. When we break the glacier, it'll be his death. Bam! As Shui Sha and Shui Luan spoke, the last frost dragon on Yi Fei's ice bow broke when the frost arrow flew back. At this point, the ice bow was completely destroyed. The whistling frost arrow only trapped the blood ancestor for a dozen breaths of time. The huge ice sculpture of the demon god began to shake violently, as if it would collapse at any time. Yi Fei's heart sank, because the ice bow was incomplete. When the frost arrow froze the blood ancestor, he was also frozen by the frost arrow. If the blood ancestor breaks the ice layer before me, I'll really be dead. Yi Fei's face was covered in thick frost, and he couldn't break out of the ice in a short period of time. He was filled with regret. He shouldn't have let the undying sword soul develop the habit of being picky about food. Otherwise, whether it was the demonic blood black lotus in his body or the frost energy that froze his primordial spirit, he could have let the undying sword soul absorb them instantly and escape. However, ever since it absorbed the power of the heavenly tribulation and the power of the undying sword soul couldn't be bothered to absorb ordinary energy. At this moment, no matter how much the frost energy invaded Yi Fei's body, the undying sword soul didn't react at all. It's really bad to be picky about food. Yi Fei felt inexplicably angry. Then he suddenly thought of something and scolded with a dark face. That tortoise that bullies the weak and fears the strong. Could it be that it saw that the situation was bad and ran away in advance? Roar! Roar! Hearing someone call out to it, a sneaky tortoise head immediately popped out from under the ice layer. When it saw Yi Fei frozen into an ice sculpture, the dragon tortoise jumped in fright. Then it felt inexplicably refreshed. It was finally the Basha ferocious demon's turn to sweep the battlefield. The dragon tortoise roared and decisively grabbed Yi Fei's frozen ice sculpture with its claws. Then it moved horizontally into the distance. Its speed was so fast that even a thief would be ashamed to death if they saw it. The three blood ancestors, who were already on the verge of collapsing the ice mountain, were so angry that they all spat out a mouthful of demonic blood. God damn it, the one who emptied the spirit vein was this stupid tortoise. It's the same as Yi Fei. They both deserve to die. They must die. Die for me. The demon god's immense anger made its two arms reach out from the ice in extreme anger. Then, without even looking, two demonic blades were already whistling through the air, smashing towards the escaping Yi Fei and the dragon tortoise. At this moment, Yi Fei was still trapped in the ice sculpture and couldn't move. With the dragon tortoise's strength, it probably wouldn't be able to withstand a single strike from the demonic blades. Helpless, Yi Fei couldn't care less. He could only hold on to the thought of fighting for one last time. He shouted in the corpse language, "Fellow Taoist, please stop this disaster. How can I disobey fellow Taoist orders? Fellow Taoist, hurry up and go to the White Bone Wilderness. That is the demon forbidden ground. The blood ancestors definitely wouldn't dare to barge in there." Gao Chong suddenly rushed out from a corner of the ice mountain like a shooting star and stood in front of Yi Fei loyally. He quickly threw a map to Yi Fei. Then, Gao Chong resolutely used his own body to collide with one of the demonic blades. His body instantly self-destructed. Boom! The power of a corpse puppet's self-destruction was very terrifying. Furthermore, Gao Chang was also a half-step emperor. Not only did his self-destruction successfully destroy the first demonic blade, but also greatly weakened the second demonic blade. However, half of the demonic blade's afterimages still swept past Yi Fei and the dragon tortoise. Fortunately, the dragon tortoise and Yi Fei both had rough skin and thick flesh. At the critical moment, countless array patterns appeared on the dragon tortoise's back, forming a large array that blocked the last remnants of the demonic blade's attack. Chapter 1267. The White-Bone Wasteland. The blood ancestors were still a step too late. By the time they broke out of the ice, the dragon turtle, who had always been faster than thieves, had already taken Yi Fei with it. Not even their shadows could be seen. The demonic god was so angry that his huge demonic body was trembling. Merging into a demon was the blood ancestors' strongest and most secretive technique. With this technique, they could have killed Yi Fei unexpectedly and taken revenge for the destruction of their sect. However, Gao Chang was not afraid of death, and the appearance of the dragon turtle had turned everything around. How could the blood ancestors not be angry? The furious blood hangman even declared that he would kill all the turtles in the world to take revenge. Shuelwan looked at the place where Gao Chang had self-destructed, and fear flashed across his eyes. He could not understand how Yi Fei had managed to make Gao Chang betray him and make Gao Chang fearless of death. He was actually willing to block the disaster for Yi Fei. Could it be that Gao Chang has gone mad and damaged his head from training? Shui Yin's face was gloomy. He turned to look at the other two heads and said resentfully, "What should we do now? The Blood Demon sect has been destroyed, and the turtle is running so fast. We can't chase after Yi Fei anymore. We don't care. We can spare Yi Fei, but that turtle must die." Shui Sha and Shuelwan didn't stop at all. The furious demon god once again took a huge step forward. Like a mountain, he chased after the dragon turtle crazily. Rumble. Hearing the sound of running behind him, Yi Fei could not help but smile bitterly. I suffered a great loss this time. I wanted to stop the blood ancestors for a while and then leave. In the end, I almost lost my life, and an ice bow was completely destroyed. Indeed, no one who can become a martial emperor is weak. Just like this battle, who would have thought that the blood ancestors could merge and increase their strength? If not for this, he would not have lost so miserably. My realm is still too low, and my domain is still too weak. I can't go back to the true martial sacred academy. The blood ancestors can't catch up with me, and they'll definitely ambush me at the teleportation point of the true martial sacred academy. It seems that I can only escape to the White-Bone Wilderness. The White-Bone Wasteland was the largest and most dangerous region in the Dragonhead realm. It was said that it was 100 times more dangerous than the Bloodsea Forest. Demonic beasts ran amok there. There were even quasi-emperor level demonic beast emperors hiding there. Normally, even the evil demon martial monarchs would not dare to enter there. Entering the White-Bone Wasteland to seek refuge was undoubtedly a very good choice. However, this choice was also filled with enormous risks. Yi Fei couldn't help but feel a little hesitant as he held the map that Gao Chang had given him. However, this hesitation was quickly replaced by the blood ancestors' incessant roars. He finally made up his mind. Even if I can't beat you in a fight, do you think I can't outrun you? Big Black, speed up and fly north. We'll go to the White-Bone Wasteland. Yi Fei ordered. Roar! The dragon turtle let out a loud burp and used its claws to point at its round body, indicating that it wasn't easy for it to run so fast. Yi Fei smiled faintly and comforted the dragon turtle. Big Black is fine. It's fine if you can't run fast. At most, we'll be caught by the blood ancestors behind us, and I'll be killed. What about you? You're so fat. I heard that ginseng stewed with turtle soup is very nutritious. Boom! Before Yi Fei could finish speaking, the dragon turtle, which had been about to slack off, suddenly had red eyes. A terrifying spiritual energy tail flame spurted out from its tail. Its huge body was like a deflated balloon, and its speed more than doubled. If the dragon turtle's speed at the start was 300 miles in a breath, then now it was definitely 500 miles in the blink of an eye. Under the threat of stewed soup, the dragon turtle decisively started to go all out. The blood ancestor, who was chasing from behind, also roared furiously. They didn't understand how such a huge turtle could run at such a terrifying speed. At the beginning, they could still barely see the dragon turtle's silhouette. 3 days later, they could only see the dragon turtle's tail flame disappear. 10 days later, the blood ancestors could only vaguely sense the dragon turtle's aura. 20 days later, the blood ancestors couldn't even sense the dragon turtle's aura. Instead, they were so angry that they vomited a lot of demonic blood. Their huge demonic bodies were showing signs of collapse. The dragon turtle, who was frantically running for its life, was foaming at the mouth as it desperately continued to fly. Yi Fei discovered pattern. Whenever the dragon turtle wanted to stop, Yi Fei would explain in detail the cooking process of the ginseng turtle soup. The dragon turtle was so frightened that it could only hold its breath and continue to run faster than a rabbit. Finally, under the dragon turtle's efforts, Yi Fei discovered a vast white wilderness in front of them a month later. This was the White Bone Wilderness. It was said that there were countless demonic beasts living here, killing and devouring each other. After tens of thousands of years, the entire wilderness had become white bones, as if it was piled up with a layer of snow. There was an ancient tablet erected in front of the White Bone Wilderness. It had the martial monarch's spiritual imprint and the words "Trespasser shall die" written in blood. This was a warning to the demons of the Dragon Head realm not to enter rashly. However, Yi Fei, who was currently being chased by the blood ancestors and wanted by the 4 great sacred institutes, had no other choice but to hide in the White Bone Wilderness for a while. It's not easy to be a disciple of the Sacred Institute these days. It's also not easy to be a demon. Big Black, it's been hard on you. If you escape inside, the blood ancestor probably won't use you to make soup. However, you're so fat. The quasi-emperor demonic beasts inside should be very interested in you. Dong! The dragon turtle landed on the ground and was panting. When it heard Yi Fei's words, it was so frightened that it immediately touched its round body and quickly returned to the beast mark space. Xiao Chao happily told Yi Fei that the dragon turtle was determined not to come out if it wasn't so hungry that it was all skin and bones. Yi Fei was speechless at this. However, when he thought that he could save a lot of spirit stones, he was secretly happy. He could use these spirit stones to improve his strength. He didn't dare to go deep into the White Bone Wilderness. Instead, he asked Xiao Chao to find a relatively safe valley and secretly hide in it. Then, he started to cultivate crazily inside. I, Yi Fei, will not come out of seclusion until I break through to the 9th level of the Martial Saint realm. I will not leave the White Bone Wilderness until I reach the half-step Martial Monarch realm. In the cave, Yi Fei looked at the thousands of immortal crystals that he had saved because of the dragon turtle's diet. He secretly made up his mind. The battle with the blood ancestor this time had greatly stimulated Yi Fei. In the Dragon Head realm, you can only live if you have strength. Without strength, not only will you be hunted down, you will also be slaughtered. I will never be slaughtered. Boom! After taking a deep breath, Yi Fei directly went deep into the valley's deep pool. Then, he began to cultivate hard inside. As time went by, the pool that Yi Fei was hiding in actually gradually emitted elegant spirit qi. This spirit qi nourished the surrounding vegetation. More and more demonic beasts like to come here to drink water and fight. In the end, a 3rd-level Martial Saint realm demonic beast drove away the other demonic beasts and prepared to make this place its new nest. Chapter 1268. The soul-hooking Venerable Yi Fei was cultivating at the bottom of the pond. Now, he was also alarmed by the chain above him. Using his soul sense, he saw the demonic beast soul being forcibly hooked out of its body by the chain. If it was an ordinary demonic beast, it would be fine. However, that demonic beast was a third-level martial saint. If it wasn't for the fact that he was cultivating at the bottom of the pond, that demonic beast might have already discovered him. Yifei's interest was piqued by the fact that such a vigilant magical beast had been hooked by an iron hook, and its beast soul was hooked. Xiao Qiao, have you memorized the spiritual qi of those black shadows? Yifei asked in a low voice. Xiao Qiao was also eating immortal crystals in the beast mark space. The dragon turtle's eyes turned green as it watched. There were a few times when it wanted to steal a piece of immortal crystal. However, Xiao Qiao was very vigilant and didn't give the dragon turtle any chance to do so. However, after a few months of starvation, the dragon turtle's body was no longer fat. Its four limbs were finally able to reach the ground. Squeak, squeak. In front of the dragon turtle, Xiao Qiao happily swallowed the last piece of immortal crystal. Immediately, he felt very happy. He clapped his little hands and gave Yifei a no-problem gesture, indicating that Xiao Qiao had memorized the spiritual qi of those black shadows. This way, even if the black shadows went far away, Xiao Qiao would still be able to sense them. However, Yifei still waited patiently for half a day. After confirming that there was no one around the valley, he rushed out of the pond with a boom. After a few months of cultivation, Yifei still didn't break through to the 9th-level martial saint. It wasn't that he wasn't strong enough. Instead, it was because there were too many primordial spirits in his body. 8 primordial spirits were much harder to break through than 1. My cultivation didn't break through, and instead, I encountered a group of mysterious black figures that looked like soul reapers. Strange, didn't they say that the White Bone Wasteland was a forbidden land for evil spirits? How did that group of people come in? And what method did they use to steal the beast souls of those magical beasts? With a strong sense of curiosity, Yifei quietly followed the black shadows and left the pool. There were many plants in the White Bone Wasteland. Through these plants, Xiao Qiao could easily find the spirit energy fluctuations left behind by the black shadows. About 3 days later, Yifei found the second place where the shadows had stopped. It was a cave, and inside the cave lay the corpse of a huge magical beast. Just like the demonic beast in the pool, it was unscathed, but its beast soul was taken away by those people. This kind of feeling was very strange. Even though he was a martial arts veteran, the Black Shadow's means were still far beyond Yifei's expectation. This White Bone Wasteland is definitely not as simple as a forbidden land for evil spirits. Those Black Shadows might not be outsiders. Instead, they might be living in the White Bone Wasteland. After following the Black Shadows to another hill, Yifei's expression became serious as he looked at the huge demonic bug on the ground. After a few days of observation, he found that these black shadows moved in a very orderly manner. They seemed to be able to know in advance where dangerous magical beasts were and avoid them in advance. They also attacked in a very orderly manner. They all chose the first or second level martial saint demonic beasts. There were many of these demonic beasts in the White Bone Wasteland. With the chains in the hands of the Black Shadows, they could easily kill the demonic beasts and steal their beast souls. To be able to know the distribution of the demonic beasts in the White Bone Wasteland so well, they obviously weren't outsiders. Even Yifei had to rely on Xiao Qiao's senses to avoid those powerful demonic beasts. These Black Shadows are too strange. Should I continue to follow them, or should I just leave? Yifei was in a dilemma. He was very curious about the Black Shadow's behavior. However, he was also worried that if he followed them rashly, he would cause unnecessary trouble. Just as Yifei was hesitating, a fierce roar suddenly came from the mountain forest in the distance. In the beast-marked space, Xiao Qiao hurriedly told Yifei that a very powerful demonic beast was approaching. Yifei didn't hesitate anymore. He quickly turned around and ran. It was better to avoid trouble. He already had enough trouble. At most, I'll find a place where there is no one and continue to cultivate. Yifei thought to himself. He couldn't help but quicken his pace. However, Before he could get far, the black shadow's screams came from the mountain forest. Let's go. We were careless. It's not an ordinary demonic beast inside. It's a demonic beast, Emperor. Send the signal, Venerable One. Please save us. Please save us. Bang! A large firework bloomed in the sky. It lit up everything within 1,000 miles. However, this light also stimulated the demonic beast emperor in the mountain forest to go berserk. Roar! Within 1,000 miles, another terrifying beast roar came. That roar shook the earth and the mountains. A few black shadows had their souls crushed by the roar before they could rush into the sky. They fell to the ground. At the same time, a huge demonic ape rushed out from the mountain forest. The demonic ape was carrying a bloody demonic beast corpse. Obviously, when the black shadows were harvesting the beast souls of the demonic beasts, they were unlucky enough to encounter the demonic ape. It just happened that the demonic ape was also hunting here. In the eyes of the demonic beasts, powerful warriors were all shining with spiritual light. Eating a warrior was much more useful than eating a demonic beast. Naturally, this powerful demonic ape also treated these black shadows as prey and started to kill them. When Yi Fei turned around, he saw that the demonic ape had already swallowed the black shadows who had died on the ground. The remaining black shadows were so scared that they couldn't help but scream. However, they were wearing tall black hats that covered their entire bodies. Yi Fei couldn't see who they were. He could only see their cultivation clearly. 2 7th-level martial saints, and the leader is a 10th-level martial saint expert. However, their strength is much stronger than ordinary demons. Each of them has one or several profound meanings. When Yi Fei was observing, he saw that the 3 black shadows had joined forces to use their profound meanings to force the demonic ape to retreat. However, the demonic ape didn't plan to let go of its prey. Instead, it became even more berserk because of their resistance. Roar! Another loud sound wave shook the sky. Due to the impact of the sound wave, the mountain that Yi Fei was hiding in collapsed with a boom. A single roar was enough to shatter a mountain. Yi Fei had seen many demonic apes before. However, it was his first time seeing such a powerful demonic ape. No wonder the White Bone Wasteland is called the Demonic Forbidden Land. The demonic beasts here are too powerful. Any random demonic ape here is at least a martial dominator. Yi Fei didn't dare to stay any longer. The moment the mountain collapsed, he suddenly turned into a ray of light and rushed into the distance. As for the 3 black shadows, they had already fallen from the sky due to the demonic ape's roar. They were swallowed by the demonic ape one by one. Then, the demonic ape stared at Yi Fei with its ferocious eyes. It even grabbed a corner of the collapsed mountain and was about to smash it at Yi Fei. However, before the demonic ape could smash it, the ground rumbled. Countless white soil rolled up and formed a huge white palm, which quickly smashed toward the demonic ape. Chapter 1269. Forcefully roped in, it's not me, I got the wrong person. Venerable, please take your time. I have something to do, so I will leave first. Yi Fei cursed in his heart. He was really unlucky. Other people would find it hard to meet a martial emperor in their lifetime. However, he met 2 when he went out. Moreover, one was a human and one was a beast. Luckily, when the mountain was crushed by the demonic ape, the mud that filled the sky smashed his face. Yi Fei was not worried that he would attract the attention of the sky venerable. Furthermore, the venerable did not have time to pay attention to Yi Fei. The demonic ape had already changed its target. It suddenly threw the mountain in its hand at the venerable. At the same time, it slapped its palm violently, shattering the huge mud palm. Evil creature, you killed my disciple and even dared to do such a thing. I will take your beast spirit. Life and death are on the line. Heaven and man are at a loss. The venerable shouted angrily. He opened his hands. His left hand was supporting the sky, while his right hand was supporting the ground. He used a terrifying martial art similar to a divine ability to fight against the demonic ape. Of course, during the battle, the Venerable did not forget to send a message to Yi Fei with his spiritual sense. Little friend, don't go. I have no evil intentions. We can talk. We are not familiar with each other. Let's not talk. Yi Fei replied with a roar. He turned around and ran. He was really depressed. Since he had entered the Dragonhead world, he had been unlucky. Wherever he went, he would be chased. Moreover, he always met martial emperors that he could not afford to offend. It was because he could see that both the Venerable and the demonic ape were late martial emperors. He was just a small 8th-level martial saint. If he stayed, he would be courting death. Yi Fei ran quickly. However, there was a voice that ran faster than Yi Fei. He had not run far when another black figure rushed down from the sky. Damn, another martial emperor. There are actually so many martial emperors in the Whitebone Wasteland. Yi Fei suddenly felt like crying. He finally understood why the Whitebone Wasteland was called the demonic Forbidden Land. There were too many martial emperors here. Ordinary demonic beasts would naturally die here. Looks like I can't stay in the Whitebone Wasteland any longer. I have to leave this place as soon as possible. A grave look flashed in Yi Fei's eyes. For so many martial monarchs to hide here, there was definitely something wrong with the Whitebone Wasteland. The only fortunate thing was that it was a martial monarch blocking him this time. His strength was not high, only at the early stage of the martial emperor realm. If he ended the battle quickly, he could still escape. Those who block me shall die. Taiji sword, Taiji domain. Boom. Yi Fei made his move decisively, slashing out a terrifying purple-gold sword light. However, what made him confused was that his Tai Chi domain did not activate. It was as if it had been greatly suppressed. Domain? Young Master Yi, you actually want to use your domain in the Bone Wasteland? The black figure had a strange expression on his face. He had no intention of attacking Yi Fei. Instead, he quickly dodged the sword. You were recognized? This voice sounds familiar. Yi Fei's heart thumped. He sheathed his sword and looked warily at the black figure opposite him. Who are you? What faction do you belong to? Haha, young Master Yi, how forgetful. I am Yu Zhijiang. Young Master Yi, do you still remember the time when you sold me the recipe for the face-retaining pill in the Outer Sea? Yu Zhijiang smiled and took off the hat on his head. Yi Fei took a closer look. This person was actually Sinluo Hall's sub-hall master, Yu Zhijiang. Back in the Xiexio Sea, Yi Fei had run to Sinluo Hall to sell the recipe for the face-retaining pill in exchange for spirit stones to buy the sage bone. He had not expected to meet Yu Zhijiang again in the Dragonhead realm after so many years. Wait, Yi Fei remembered that Yu Zhijiang was only at the earth-penetrating 7th layer when they were in the Outer Sea. He was not even an ancient martial sage. In just a few years, this person had actually become a martial monarch. You are not Yu Zhijiang, Yi Fei shouted sternly. I am Yu Zhijiang. I can prove it. Young master, look, this is the recipe for the face-retaining pill that you sold to me back then. Yu Zhijiang was very sure. He thought for a while and added, I have always been a martial monarch. I only concealed my cultivation for the convenience of doing business. Speaking to that point, Yu Zhijiang even had a face full of sighs. Back then, when this old man met you, you were still a little martial lord. I never would have thought that after a few years, you'd already become the #1 on the heaven ranking, the invincible demon saint. You've truly shocked this old man. If I had known earlier, I would have forcefully pulled you into the dark Azura temple. Elder Yu, please don't. This junior is a cripple who has been abandoned by the heavens. The title of Devil Saint is also because I was too arrogant and ignorant. I have decided to return to the northern region now and live in seclusion in the mountains. Goodbye. Yi Fei cupped his hands and turned around to continue fleeing in another direction. This Yu Zhijiang was a martial monarch, but had disguised himself as an almighty. The Whitebone Wasteland was very likely to be Sinluo Hall's territory. Even a fool could see that Sinluo Hall was not easy to deal with. He would be a fool to respond to Yu Zhijiang's words. He quickly found an excuse and prepared to leave by force. Young friend, please wait. Since you know Elder Yu, you're one of us. Why are you leaving? At this moment, the venerable master arrived and blocked Yi Fei's path. As for the demonic ape, it had already run away. Obviously, the demonic ape was not stupid. When it realized that there were two martial monarchs here, it would definitely be at a disadvantage if they fought, so it simply took advantage of the situation and ran away. Yi Fei also swore that the next time he met the demonic ape, he would borrow Xiao Chao's whip and whip it to death. Of all the times to run, you chose to run now. More importantly, if you ran away, how could I deal with two martial monarchs alone? More importantly, the venerable master was a late-stage martial monarch. Yi Fei cursed in his heart. On the surface, he tried to remain calm and said, "Senior, is there anything else?" "Of course there is," the venerable master said angrily. "You are really something. We sent so many martial monarchs to recruit you. You even rejected us. A few of the temple masters almost decided to come personally. Fortunately, Yu Zhijiang came and said that he knew you. That was why we did not come personally. Yu Zhijiang, since you know him, quickly make him agree to join our Senluo temple." "What? You sent those martial monarchs?" Yi Fei's face darkened. He thought of the martial monarchs who kept harassing him after he fell into the demon path. However, at that time, he only wanted to sneak into the blood demon sect and get rid of the demon in his body, so he decisively rejected them. Now that he thought about it, he was really wise. "Seniors, I am a disciple of the Holy Court. Please forgive me, boom." Before he could finish, a huge palm of earth suddenly smashed the entire forest in the distance into powder. Then, the Venerable One asked with a smile, "This old man has bad ears. By the way, kid, what did you say just now? Please repeat it again." Yi Fei was speechless. However, Yu Zhijiang had a lot to say. He walked over cordially and said earnestly, "Yi Fei, our Senluo temple is different from the Holy Court. We speak based on strength. We do not care about your background or whether you were abandoned by the heavens. As long as you are strong, we will do our best to nurture you. If you can make enough contributions, the quasi-emperors will do their best to help you overcome the martial monarch tribulation. Overcome the martial monarch tribulation with all your strength." Yi Fei was greatly startled. What kind of faction was this Senluo temple? Even the headmaster of the Holy Court could not guarantee that he would be able to overcome the martial monarch tribulation. How could the Senluo temple guarantee it? One is playing the good cop, while the other is playing the bad cop. Why do I feel like I am on a pirate ship and forced to join? Yi Fei immediately felt extremely depressed. Chapter 1270. The Two Halls of Life and Death. Since the two seniors have invited me, of course, I have to go and experience the glory of the Dark Azura Hall. Yi Fei smiled bitterly and nodded happily. Yu Zhijiang was full of smiles. He had an expression of praise for a promising child. The Venerable Soul Seducer also smiled. He had a look that said, "You ran away as soon as you saw us. I thought you had some misunderstanding about the Dark Azura Hall and almost kidnapped you." Yi Fei wanted to say, "You didn't almost. If I didn't agree, you would have taken action." However, he was unlucky to have met two martial emperors at the same time. One of them was a late-stage martial emperor. He couldn't beat them and had nowhere to run. However, looking at Yu Zhijiang's attitude towards me, the Dark Azura Hall only wants to recruit me. They don't have any intention of harming me. No matter what, I have to feign civility and stabilize the Dark Azura Hall. Then, I'll act according to the circumstances. Yi Fei secretly made up his mind. By the way, Venerable Soul Seducer, since the Dark Azura Hall is a power of the Dragon Head realm, why would they have so many branches in the central province? Yi Fei asked again. The Venerable Soul Seducer glanced at him. "Join the Dark Azura Hall, and you'll naturally know." Yi Fei cursed inwardly. "Old fox, you don't reveal anything when you speak." Yu Zhijiang smiled and said, "The Venerable Soul Seducer has such a temper. His disciples died in the mouths of demonic beasts. Venerable Qing Mu must be feeling terrible." The two martial emperors were very fast. After flying for about half a day in the white-bone wasteland, they brought Yi Fei to a flat, open space. Suddenly, Venerable Qing Mu slapped his hand towards the sky. The space shattered and formed a black tunnel. Yu Zhejiang's expression was very serious as he said, "Yi Fei, the space in the white-bone wasteland has 9 twists and turns. Sometimes a single step is a space. If you follow behind us and take a wrong step, you will be trapped in an endless folded space." Endless? Yi Fei was secretly shocked. That's right, it's endless. The Dragon Head realm was formed by the ancestor dragon's head. The Whitebone Wasteland is actually the ancestor dragon's skull. The space inside the folded space is truly a world with a thought. Some worlds contain countless opportunities and some worlds. So, you must be careful. The one who answered was Venerable Greenwood. He led the way, and Yi Fei followed closely behind, memorizing every step Venerable Greenwood took. Yu Zhejiang brought up the rear, in charge of closing all the layers of space. Yi Fei was shocked to find that the space they were passing through was filled with countless killing formations. These formations were linked with each other, forming an even more terrifying chain formation. Even Reverend Qing Mu, a late-stage martial emperor, had to be careful when he walked into the formation. It is not without reason that the Dark Azura Hall is able to establish black markets everywhere in the central province and dominate the Whitebone Wasteland, preventing the other evil demon clans from entering. Just these folded spaces alone are enough to deter the quasi-emperors of the 4 sacred academies and the quasi-emperor noble clans. Most importantly, he couldn't use his domain after entering the Whitebone Wasteland. This was something that Yu Zhejiang had specifically explained to him during their journey. This was also the reason Yi Fei compromised. His strongest move was his domain. If he could not use his domain, he would not have the advantage against martial monarchs. Yi Fei counted. They passed through a total of 18 terrifying killing formations before they officially entered a world filled with birds and flowers. The ground was white and dotted with red flowers. There was also a spring flowing through the white ground, nourishing the spiritual flowers and grass in the surroundings. Yi Fei could not believe that this was the base of an evil sect. Yu Zhejiang smiled when he saw Yi Fei's shocked expression. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect the Dragon Head realm, where evil demons gathered, to have such a paradise on earth, right? Indeed, I did not expect it. Yi Fei was still shocked. Humph, this is just a side palace. In the ancient era, the main palace of my life and death palace was the true paradise. Venerable Qing Mu seemed unintentional. However, when he spoke, he used an indistinct spiritual sense to coldly observe every change in Yi Fei's expression. Venerable Qing Mu was confident that with his spiritual sense as a martial monarch, he could secretly check on Yi Fei. Indeed, Yi Fei did not discover Venerable Qing Mu's spiritual sense. However, Xiao Qiao was also very sensitive to spiritual sense. After all, using spiritual sense required spiritual energy. Yi Fei immediately understood that Venerable Qing Mu was still worried about him, which was why he spoke to test him. He looked at Venerable Qing Mu with a confused expression and said, "Strange, didn't you bring me to the Dark Azura Hall? Why did you say that this is the life and death palace? When you were in the Holy Court, did the quasi-emperors tell you about the life and death palace?" Venerable Qing Mu asked. "Don't mention the Holy Court to me." Yi Fei suddenly flew into a rage and glared at Venerable Qing Mu. Yu Zhejiang quickly smiled bitterly and tried to smooth things over. "Don't be rash. Qing Mu, you are in the wrong this time. You know that Yi Fei is the public enemy of the 4 academies. Why are you still bringing this up?" This old man was just surprised to see that little friend, Yi, had never heard of the life and death palace. Sorry. Venerable Qing Mu performed a cupped fist salute and left. Yu Zhejiang explained to Yi Fei, "Yi Fei, his temper is like that. Don't be angry. Our Dark Azura Hall is the life and death palace. You can rest assured and stay here. Our hall master will meet you personally in 1 month. Big brother you, since you were the life and death palace. Why did you change your name to the Dark Azura Hall? Yi Fei asked in astonishment. His astonished expression stunned Xiao Qiao and the dragon tortoise. Yu Zhijiang could not see anything wrong with it. Let me put it this way. The Life and Death Palace was extremely glorious during the ancient era. However, due to some reasons, the Life and Death Palace split into two palaces, the Life Palace and the Death Palace. Our Dark Azura Hall belongs to the Life Palace. Yu Zhijiang said. Then what about the Death Palace? Where's the Death Palace? Yi Fei asked curiously. He felt like committing suicide. He did not even have the time to hide from the Life and Death Palace. Now he actually dared to barge in. However, he did not show it on his face. Yu Zhijiang was stunned. He said hesitantly, the Death Palace is the demon-human palace. This old man is not very clear about the details. You must not tell anyone about this. Otherwise, even this old man will not be able to protect you. Yu Zhijiang looked deeply at Yi Fei. Then, he called two maids over and brought Yi Fei to a guest room. Along the way, Yi Fei occasionally saw young cultivators like him sparring and cultivating on the mountain peak. He also saw martial monarchs opening their palaces and giving lectures. They did not forbid others from listening in. In a daze, Yi Fei felt like he had returned to the Sacred Institute. However, compared to the true martial Sacred Institute, the disciples of the Dark Azura Hall had a strong, baleful aura. When they saw the newcomer Yi Fei, some of them were not polite at all. Yi Fei could not be bothered with them. He entered the room that was arranged and closed the door, continuing his closed-door cultivation. On a mountain peak outside, Venerable Qing Mu was observing Yi Fei's actions closely. He did not withdraw his spiritual sense. It was still hidden around Yi Fei's room. Not long after, Yu Zhijiang also arrived at the mountain peak. He complained, Venerable Qing Mu, you are too suspicious. Our Dark Azura Hall's outer palace has already investigated Yi Fei's identity. There is no harm in being careful. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.